and do something. We're going to do a little something different. Oh, our friend Nina subbed while we were offline a little earlier today, so we'll turn on Fats Cam for Nina. Since Nina resubbed. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna do something a little bit different today. I don't have a specific like neuroscience teaching portion up. What I do have though is a an article here just about general like the state of science and research and stuff like that. Kind of the same kind of stuff we were talking about at the end of stream on Friday. Somebody got me up on my soapbox and had a strong opinion about this kind of thing. So we'll read about this in case y'all haven't heard about it. This came out this happened just a couple weeks ago. 2 Fridays ago, actually. No, 2 Thursdays ago. And then we have an article about a volumetric study, a longitudinal volumetric study. It's not longitudinal, no. A volumetric study about Alzheimer's. Is this about poorly reviewed science journals? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Like I said, the study we're going to look at, volumetric study on Alzheimer's, which I thought was very interesting. And they include some cool elements I want to show off a little bit. And then the last article we're going to check out, that one I think is not as strong as it could have been. And I want to go through and kind of teach people why it's not so strong. Okay? Not completely worthless, or not going to like bash on it or anything like that, but we'll talk about some strengths of it and more of the shortcomings, because I feel like there are quite a few of them. Okay? So yeah, let's go and get started. As always, this is a discussion, so feel free to, ask any questions that you might have, anything like that. Love to converse with everybody during this time. That's kind of what this is all about. Not just me talking, but, everybody learning together. So share your insights, ask any questions you have. No stupid questions here, of course. Let's do this. And there's the first neuroscience question. The bot is asking the first question. What is Wernicke's area associated with? Understanding. Eric remembers from last time. There we go. Understanding language specifically. Oh man. Springtime is definitely here. I'm all stuffy. Okay. So yeah, here's the news that came out a couple weeks ago. In a push for open access. UC, not just AUC, but UC, well, I guess this is a push towards the entire UC system, I guess. Or one step towards that, maybe, possibly. But UC Berkeley, specifically, broke ties with the publishing giant Elsevier, or Elsevier, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I always said Elsevier, but it could totally be Elsevier. I don't know. Depends on them, really. Depends on how they want their name pronounced. But these guys handle the publishing for large large databases and stuff like that, and such as like Science Direct, stuff like that. These guys do like a lot of publishing. They control access to a lot of journal articles. They control what authors get published in a lot of journal articles and stuff like that. All kinds of different things. Okay, so UC Berkeley, a pretty well-known school, I would say, at least in America, breaking ties with this publishing giant is kind of a big deal, kind of a big deal. And kind of, like I said, it's kind of a push towards completely open access journals, which is something I talked about on Friday a lot. So yeah, the University of California system, because again, UC Berkeley is a prominent school in the UC system in California. In California versus, other countries, multiple states, or each state usually has like its own like university system. So the statewide system usually adheres to like a specific set of like academic regulations and stuff like that. So you can go to like UC Berkeley or UC Santa Cruz, any of those kind of things. Any one of the ones that say UC in front of it, they're all termed University of California, and they all kind of work together, have similar standards and stuff like that. We also have CSUs, or California State Universities. Those are different. I can't say one's better than the other. Usually people shoot for UCs if they want like a top tier academic experience, I guess. But CSUs are fine too. I also went to a CSU. There's nothing wrong with that. I went to a CSU and a private school. Those exist too. You can go to private colleges that also give out master's degrees and whatnot. So, hey, what's up, Gaster? Good to see you, man. How the heck are you? But anyways, yeah. University of California's system took a bold stand today. I think this is the letter that they wrote, I believe. We can check. Oh no, that's the letter there. Anyways, they wanted to push for publicly funded UC research to be accessible to the world, which I think is a great idea. Publicly funded, meaning, you know, you pay for it with your taxes and such. Since we already pay for it with our taxes, like, why the hell aren't we able to see this stuff for free? You know, we already paid for it. And if you know, publishing these things, actually the publishing and reviewing of these things costs money, well, maybe our taxes should go to pay for that too. You know, if we already paid for the research to be done through government grants and all that stuff, which is funded by taxpayers, we shouldn't need to then pay again to see the results of the research, in my opinion. And I don't think that I'm alone on that. You know, it just doesn't make sense. So, anyways. So UC Berkeley chose not to renew its nearly $11 million a year, $11 million per year scholarly journal subscription to Elsevier, which produces more than 1,500 scientific journals. It's not insubstantial, you know. It's quite a bit of stuff going on there. Go ahead and zoom this in some so I can make sure people see it. But yeah, I mean, they publish a lot of journals for sure, you know. So they've been trying to negotiate a new subscription deal, which I would guess that they negotiate this kind of contract every at least a year, I would say, or maybe every few years, something like that. Yeah, you know, just like any sort of contractual obligation or agreement, you probably revisit it every few years, something like that. Whatever contract you settle on is going to be good for a couple of years, and you come back and revisit it, something like that. So they've been trying to make a new subscription deal or a new contract. And they've been trying to do that since December 31st, when on February 28th, they finally said, screw it, we're done, you know, nope, over it. Oh, it says right there, they had a 5-year license. So Elsevier was unwilling to provide the main goal of use of the UC's or University of California's fight, achieving what's been called universal open access publishing, so that the 10 campus systems research could be freely available to anyone, anywhere. Right now it's kind of stuck behind paywalls, instated by Elsevier, or and unless, well, I think it's going to actually explain it down here. It either explains it here or in the letter, if I remember right. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. It's right now a lot of the research that's published through Elsevier and other publishers is not free to everybody, you know. Even though we've already paid for a lot of the research, it simply isn't made publicly available for free. You have to actually go in and pay a fee to access it. You can either pay a smaller, though still substantial and kind of ridiculous fee, in my opinion, for like 36-hour access to the journal. You know, like 3 days to look at it, which is kind of dumb. Or you can pay for like a subscription to the journal for like hundreds of dollars per year, which most people ain't trying to do. You know, it breaks down to not very much per month, but you know, like any sort of subscription, if you feel like you're not going to use it very much, you won't pay for it. Or if you like, hey, you know, I just want to read this one article, too bad. You can't do it apparently, or unfortunately, you know. So that's kind of how it is right now for a lot of things. There's other ways to look at it as well. Well, like I said, they break it down inside the letter, which we're going to read in a minute too. So a representative from the UC says, no, make no mistake, the prices of scientific journals now are so high that not a single university in the US, not a university in California, not Harvard, which isn't in California, no institution can afford to subscribe to them all. Right, so yeah, there's these subscriptions are so high, and they're not even talking about like everybody having access. They're talking about any of the students, any of the faculty having access to these different journals, but they can't subscribe to them all. You know, the UC system, not a single university in the entire country can afford to subscribe to all these journals and get access to all the research that has been paid for by the public. You know, they simply can't afford to do it. It would cost, like, tuition costs would skyrocket. Like they would go bankrupt trying to subscribe to all these different journals. So as they say, the cost is too damn high. That's where we're at. So yeah, he was this came from a university librarian at UC Berkeley and co-chair of UC's negotiation team, which seems like a pretty prominent position to have on the negotiation team. So publishing our scholarship behind a paywall deprives people of the access to and benefits of publicly funded research. It's terrible for society. I absolutely agree. You know, I said it before, I'll say it again. We already paid for it. You know, we already funded that with grant money and whatnot. We already, most people that work at these UCs and state colleges and all that stuff, they are paid through tax money. They're paid through taxpayer money and tuition as well. Like, I don't know, I don't know how much more we're going to pay for this stuff, you know? A lot of the times they go to do research, they have to apply for government grants and all that stuff, and that is paid for with taxpayer money. It's already publicly funded. We should have access to it, you know? Just putting that out there again. It's kind of an important thing. Anyways, so a letter today that we're going to check out in just a moment to the UC Berkeley academic community from this person, the executive vice chancellor and provost, or provost, however you want to say that, and these other people kind of broke things down. So let's check that out. Here's the actual letter that they published to their internal people, their internal committee, or their internal, I guess, academic group. Okay. And we'll read this in just a moment after little fat boy gets treat. Because I see you guys took out Calico Casey, which means this fat guy right here gets a treat, and you guys get some kitty cam. I'm bringing it, fats, don't worry. Yes, you don't have to try to knock it out of my hand. Thank you guys for donating again to Fat Boy's Fat Belly Fund, dedicated to keeping him the fattest kitty on Twitch. He appreciates it. I appreciate it. You all love it. It's a win-win-win, except for when he leaves. Then nobody wins, really. Freaking... Ugh. This freeloader, man, just can't even be bothered to stick around after treats, dude. Nope, he's just up out of there. Can't do it. Can't do it. Anyways. So this is a letter from higher ups in UC Berkeley talking about why they decided to break away from the giant journal publisher Elsevier. And yeah, we'll read through this and I'll share my viewpoint on this. Feel free to share your own viewpoint. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. There's our next neuroscience question in chat as well. An imbalance in what neurotransmitters thought to be responsible for Tourette syndrome. Imbalance in what neurotransmitter? Which one? Dendrites, that's not a neurotransmitter, man. Neurotransmitters are those chemical messengers that dendrites are often stimulated by. There, got it. Boom. Dopamine. Yes, a dopamine imbalance. Usually they say a little too much dopamine in certain parts of the brain. Yes. Or dopamine sensitive neurons that are just a little too sensitive. Yeah, that's it. That's the one, Eric. Okay. Yeah, I say, dear colleagues, writing to share the outcome of the negotiations with Elsevier. What's happening? So they say they did make some progress. I'm guessing that they did kind of come to some agreements, but just not enough of an agreement to sign a new contract, it sounds like. So they did make some progress, particularly in the last few weeks. They tried to, again, they really wanted to push for open access publishing of UC research. But, you know, Elsevier decided not to do it. Decided or was unwilling to do it. So, well, their main goal was securing a universal open access to UC research, as stated in UC's faculty-driven principles on scholarly communication, while integrating open access publishing fees and subscription fees into a single cost-controlled contract. What does all that mean? They're going to talk about that in a second, right? So, let's see. Yeah, they decided to... Oh yeah, the Academic Senate today also expressed its support for the UC's position with regard to Elsevier's negotiations. So basically this Academic Senate's got their back and say, yep, we would like that too. So it's not just this small council of people that are, or this council of people that are negotiating. They're kind of on their own. No, Academic Senate is also behind them. So in the end, the cost is kind of what proved to break down the whole deal, which, I mean, that doesn't surprise me, given that, you know, they're a publisher and they make money off of publishing these journals and stuff like that, and basically gatekeeping access to them after they publish them. So yeah, for example, yeah, they say Elsevier's most recent proposal did not include a cap on the total amount UC faculty could end up paying in article publishing fees. So that's, you can say, well, that's problematic. Article publishing fees are a thing in published research, in that not only do people have to pay, in this example, Elsevier, for access to the journals that they want to read that Elsevier publishes, but people, university faculty and all that need to pay to have their article published in the journal in the first place. So like Elsevier gets money on both sides of that. The people have to pay to have their knowledge or their journals put into that, or their articles put into that journal. But then they also turn around and charge the people that want access to those journals for money too, or they charge them money too. Like, they make money on both sides of that. Like, come on. And again, all for research that's already been done. You're literally just paying a person to manage the written form of that and distribute it. Which, I mean, that's not an insignificant thing, but it costs too damn much. It really does, and it restricts a lot of people's access to this stuff, So they go on to say their model wouldn't have allowed us to fully subsidize article fees for authors who lack the funds themselves. Yeah. So the UC the UC likes to subsidize a lot of that stuff, or pay for people to do it, or help pay people to have their articles published, but the cost was too much and the university wouldn't have been able to do that. So some people wouldn't have been able to publish articles that otherwise had good articles to publish, but they couldn't afford to pay Elsevier's publishing fees. So, I mean, that's a whole other kettle of fish, honestly. Not only does that restrict access for people wanting to read the information, but it also restricts access on who can actually get an article published in Elsevier too. So, yeah. Yeah, what's up, Dream Sanity? Now they use Open Science Foundation? Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm guessing that they're going to look into this more. This is just about how they decided not to re-up with Elsevier. There's probably other things that they could use. I don't know what they're going to use. Good to see you this evening, man. How are you? Yeah, this letter doesn't have anything about what they're going to do now. I don't know if that's been decided fully in the last couple of weeks or not. This just happened 2 weeks ago, so. Oh, Open Science Foundation.io is way better than Elsevier. Cool. Okay. I don't know. Like I said, this is a large system of universities that's going to be figuring that out. If that is a site that could handle all their publishing and distribution, cool. Maybe they'll look into that. Couldn't say what happens. We'll find out. Definitely something I want to keep an eye on for sure. So anyways, yeah, one of the gripes was that the cost was too high, and our publishing fee cost was too high. There wasn't a cap on how much they could end up paying. So the university wasn't going to be able to subsidize people that wanted to have their articles published. Not only established staff and stuff like that, neuroscientist staff, but also staff in the other sciences as well. But upcoming graduate students doing their theses, doctoral students publishing their dissertations. I mean, they all need to get published, At least they should be published. If you end up writing a dissertation or what's it called? I just said a thesis, and it ends up not being published, it kind of doesn't mean anything, honestly. Having been there myself, you kind of need to have it published or else it doesn't mean much, which is unfortunate, What's up, BK? How you doing? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Talking all about how UC Berkeley especially, but also the UC system itself has decided not to re-up with Elsevier, the big journal publisher, which I'm sure you're familiar with. So yeah, kind of a groundbreaking thing, Yeah, talking about, or just going through the letter that they wrote about it and talking about why that might have happened. My thoughts on it. Of course, I want to hear everybody else's thoughts on that too. It's not just me talking about it, but that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. All right. Where was it? Yeah. So to meet the UC's goal of open access publication for all UC authors, like I said, not only just faculty, but faculty from every school, and then also graduate students and PhD candidates, all that stuff. Yeah, Elsevier would have charged authors over $10 million per year, in addition to the library's current multi-million-dollar subscription, which they're saying in the actual article itself was already $11 million. So they wanted another $10 million to make it open access. What the hell? It's a lot of money, Crazy amount of money. Yeah, I like Sci-Hub too, for Dream Sanity for sure. I think it's very nice for me. I mean, I think it is technically piracy, so I can't advocate its use, but I think we need to move in that direction where people can just go find the research that they want, Am I touching on predatory journals tonight? I haven't, BK, but I mean, feel free to talk about it. We can talk about it. Anyways. Ouch. So yeah, university is not willing to accept a deal that increases Elsevier's profits at the expense of our faculty. Good on them. I would hope not, because that's ridiculous. They basically want twice as much money as they already get for open access, which is ridiculous in my opinion. I don't even work there. I don't publish articles or anything, but I can just look at that and say that's freaking ridiculous. Stop. Wow. So as a result, they decided not to sign a new contract with Elsevier at this time. Hell yeah, good. I'm glad. BK says, yeah, I really believe scientific publication needs to be more accessible, both financially and realistically. Financially, like logistically, and also something I talk about as well, BK, is linguistically, you know? It needs to like be written in plain effing English so people that paid for it can understand it if they choose to, you know? Right now it's written, you know, by academics for other academics, and you know, there's like an education and like a language barrier on top of the fact that they cost a ridiculous amount. And people simply aren't going to be able to have access to the stuff that they paid for. So no wonder, like, a lot of times people don't want to fund science when, like, they don't ever have access to the stuff that comes out of it, you know? They don't ever get to see it. Or if they do see a science article, they're like, what the hell does this even say? I can't read it. I don't know what this means. I mean, I feel like that just kind of further drives people away from science funding, science research, all that stuff, you know, which is very important. But if people never get to see the fruits of what they pay for, then why are they going to keep doing it? That's kind of just basic human behavior, you know? If you keep paying for something and see literally nothing out of it, or at least think that you see nothing out of it, then why are you going to keep why are you going to keep paying for it? If you paid for cable and like the channels never worked, or you never watched it, or you never were able to watch them, like you wouldn't pay for it. You would stop paying for it. Makes total sense, right? Same thing here. Because I can tell you, to publish an article in any journal varies between $1,000 to $2,000. Goddamn, son. For open access, I had to pay twice that to allow public access. Yeah, I hadn't got there yet, BK, but let's see. I thought it said it somewhere in here, but one of the things that the publishers of articles can do is they can pay what's called an open access fee, where they pay a lot more money up front to the publisher, and then the publisher will make it open access, right? So like, if you see an open access article, like, thank the authors, because they decided to pay that fee for you so that you could access it without paying the publisher money. They basically fronted those subscription costs for you so that you could have access to the journal. Freaking ridiculous. Like, it's just dumb that people should have to do that, you know? And I get, like I said, that the publishers are managing the distribution of this information, all that stuff, but like, dude, these ridiculous amounts of money, are you kidding? It can't cost that much. Stop. Like, this shouldn't be a for-profit thing. Like, basically, I feel like holding hostage research, again, people have already paid for with their tax money. Holding it hostage, you know, for money, like for profit, not kosher in my opinion. Yep. Get a funny story about that, BK? Please tell me. I want to hear it. I have a feeling it's more ironic and less funny. But anyways, I want to hear it. Let's see. So yeah, they decided not to re-up their contract. They don't know exactly when. Elsevier is expected to begin limiting UC's access to new articles through its online platform, Science Direct, which is a big publisher of scientific information. I was in Ashley Christ's channel earlier and posted a study from Science Direct as well that they were looking at through another publisher. But yeah, it sounds like they're going to start limiting access very soon, which makes sense since they're not paying them anymore. Totally makes sense. Means some changes to how UC scholars access Elsevier journal articles will take place, of course. So what's going to happen, what's not going to happen, basically. So at some point, they're going to start turning off UC's direct access to articles with a 2019 publish date and the back files of certain journals. You can look at a list there. We're not going to do that. But open access versions of many of those articles are available, and they damn well should be, because the authors already paid that fee to make it available for everybody. So it's fine. Those should stay available. You can also look at alternative access to those articles on the library's website for advice on where to look. So trying to make sure everybody can still go find this information. It just won't be through Elsevier anymore. So let's see. Most articles published 2018 or earlier will still be available via Science Direct, because they already paid for it. They already paid for access to that. So Also, yeah, the UC's prior contracts included permanent access to previously published content. So it's basically they only have to pay you the publishing fees one time, and then they have access forever. So yeah, people that are part of the UC system or going to those schools can still have access to it because they had negotiated that. So open access articles in those journals are also unaffected because they've already been paid for. That's fine. So like I said, many authors choose to pay an open access fee. This is what I was going to get to. Called an article processing charge, or APC. Basically just another way for a publisher to take more money or take more money from somebody up front to make sure that they have it. Yeah, when they publish it. So it's always worth checking to see if the article you're looking for is available open access from the journal's website or elsewhere available online. And then, yeah, they teach you how to do that. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of a big deal that they're moving away from this. So it sounds like in the future, the UC system won't have as much access to things through Science Direct. But everything that they already had access to up until now should be mostly unaffected. Yeah. So, BK says, I don't think think science has to be stuffy or as technical as it is in publications. No, neither do I. We published a review article on the environmental and genetic stresses. Okay. The environmental and genetic stresses of something, maybe. We made a figure. Yeah, there it is. Environmental and genetic stresses in glaucoma. There we go. We made a figure where the retinal ganglion cell, we talked about those on stream, was a cartoon dude holding up different stresses. Okay. Once these stresses became too much, our cartoon dude fell over dead. The journal told us we had to change figure 1 because, and I quote, the retinal ganglion cell is not a Herculean figure. Shut the hell up. They shouldn't be telling you how you can publish your article. Like, come on. So there's another way they're gatekeeping the dissemination of knowledge from the author's standpoint, you know? Like, you chose to make that illustration that way for a purpose. You wanted it that way. That's how you wanted to disseminate your information. They straight up told you that you couldn't, and they weren't going to publish your article until you did, right? So not only did you have to pay out the ass to publish your article, but they also get to tell you how you have to publish it. Fuck all of that. No, that's not how that should be at all. I saw something on, I think, Twitter the other day, some sort of social media site where it was a professor at some college say like, hey, do you want access to our article? Like, if you ever want access to an article that a professor has written, like, just email them. They'll probably happily email it to you. Like, they don't want you to have to pay publishing fees either. They will just give it to you. Like, you've already paid for it anyways. This is publicly funded stuff. They'll be happy to give it to you free of charge. Like, they own that paper still. They own that research. They can do that. They'll be happy to give it to you. Like, circumvent these assholes. just email them and get the information. So that's always something, you know. Dream Sandy says, I hope there's cut all the pubs off or jacking the financial means to national GDP and HDI improvement. I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. We'll see. I mean, there aren't any laws like saying that these publishers can't exist or do business the way that they do them. It's a business, you know. People are gonna have to vote with their wallets, like UC Berkeley did, and say screw you. Like, I'm not gonna let you like screw people over anymore. We're done, and they're gonna move on. You know. So yeah, and they're gonna have to find other ways to get the information that they want, just not through Elsevier. I hope that this is the beginning of change for a lot of the ways that journal articles are funded and disseminated. I hope so. Sunny Bits, good to see you, man. How the heck are you? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We just got done talking about this breaking news. How the UC system definitely terminated its subscription with Elsevier, a large journal publisher, and they pushed for open access for publicly funded research, which Elsevier was ultimately just not into doing at all, which really sucks. It does. I get that they're a business and they're there to make money, but like, dude, way too much. Too greedy, in my opinion. BK says, personally, I think journals get scientists coming and going. I bet they do. Who are the primary users? Scientists who pay for the pleasure of reading, and also people that need to get published. You know, if you're going to continue in a scientific profession. You know, being a published author really goes a long way in that. If you're going to get those prestigious positions, the access to the grant money for the research you want to do and all that stuff, like, you got to have some documentation following. You got to have that paper trail, you know? You need to have like a published history, you know? You got to have that. And if you don't, like, you're not really seen as prominent a candidate for things. So yeah, I mean, like, people, not only are scientists paying these folks, paying these publishers for the joy of reading, but they also need to pay them so that they can further their own professional goals and stuff like that, to do more research, to have access to the research funds, to have access to the better positions, you know? They literally need to pay their way into these things. And who are the primary content creators? Also scientists who pay for the pleasure of publishing. Not even just the pleasure, but the necessity of publishing. Who does the peer review? Also scientists. Yep, who volunteer their time with no effing pay. So like, what the hell is what is all the fees for then? You know, to put it in electronic, to scan it into a electronic format and put it across different websites. Like, come on, what is this going towards? Like, you have literally volunteers doing the hard work, and everybody's paying you from every which way you can get money from. Come on. It's just, it's too much. It's too freaking much, man. Sunnybit says, new and fine, seems like good news. I think it's going to be good long term, you know? Like, I think that it does, unfortunately, it may limit access to academia for the UC system and Berkeley in general, but I'm hoping that it doesn't continue to in the future. I hope that this drives change. Because you've hit on a topic that drives you crazy. Oh, me too. It drives me freaking crazy too. And I don't even like do this. I don't publish in journals. I don't do any of that. It still pisses me off. I hate it because I want to read more journals. And every time, like 90% of the time I go to read a journal, oh, nope, you got to pay. Fuck. Come on. I already paid for this. In some way, shape, or form, I paid for this already. Come on. Come on. Like, screw it. I don't want to. Yeah, there's gatekeeping like this and other kinds of record keeping too. It's not surprising, Sunny Bits. Feel free to provide examples if you want, man. Love to hear about it. Eric said it drove Aaron Swartz crazy. Rip. Who's Aaron Swartz and whatnot? I used to not to say what happened to the person, but who is that? I never heard of this person. Also, quest time for whoever's ready. Little fat boy's ready. Yeah, this is something I was talking about the other night, last Friday on stream. I was also talking about, like, you know, just research methodology and designing studies in general and how they aren't, I think, designed as empirically as they could be. That's not really what seems to be rewarded in science, but I mean, you know, that was a different topic. BK said, if you ever want access to a journal article, let me know. I have access to a lot through my institution. Cool, sounds good, BK. Yeah. I will definitely let you know. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Eric said, it was the MIT student that made all of JSTOR public. Got it. Ended up with a multi-million-dollar fine and a decade of jail time. Decided to take another way out. Wow. Jeez. What a hero. I did not know this, Eric Volp. Thank you for saying so. Wow. And also, this is the next neuroscience question. What anthropomorphic representation do we use to outline the disproportionate mapping of body parts to the somatosensory cortex? Not the cirmacula or simulacra. No, not that. Something else. Sunnybet says, I used to access free survey maps from counties a few years back. A lawsuit. Hey, high top swap shop. Swooping in with the homunculus answer. That's the one, man. Good to see you. How are you this evening? Oh, yeah, Sunny said I used to access free survey maps for counties a few years back. So lawsuits made it illegal for them to make people pay for a database, or for the database the free information was kept in. Good. I'm glad that happened. I think it should be the same for this, you know? People already pay to have the information in those servers, and it's because basically this is managed in servers. I mean, like, how often are people pouring through paper copies of these journals anymore? You know, that's kind of antiquated. It's not really needed anymore. But people are already paying to have the journals entered into these databases. Then they're also having to pay to get them out again too. And again, a lot of people that might like to read these things can't read them because they can't understand the language used in them. Wow. And that's just that's not just like they don't have the knowledge base. That's dude, they can't understand like the level of language it's written at too. Like, bring it down. It's okay. Wow. Sunnybet's asking that question of the day again. What's the worst restaurant you ever eaten at with somebody else? Winner tonight so far is Eric Volp's recollection of eating at a pop-up fish and frog leg stand out in Missouri, where everybody except him got sick because he didn't eat anything. No, thank you. High Top said, yeah, what happened to Aaron Swartz was so sad. I just heard about it right now, actually. I hadn't heard about that, but yeah, dude, that sucks. Just trying to make science educate or accessible for everybody. Slapped with hella fines and jail time, killed himself, I guess. Screw that, dude. Wow. Like, people are literally willing to, like, become martyrs for this. Literally willing to, like, give it. No, well, I don't think he planned to, but giving up their lives for this. Come on, dude. Also a co-founder of Reddit, dude. Wow. BK said, yeah, just because I publish in a certain journal doesn't mean I get access to that journal. I mean, come on. Like, that's not even going to give you free access to the damn thing. I mean, see how ridiculous this is, in my opinion? Wow. I think so. This is kind of ridiculous. Man. Sunnybet says this, back to the accessing survey maps from counties, made it legal. So it went the bad way. Maps I can drive to county and get a free copy of are not available. Oh, maps you can drive to are maps of places you can drive to. I don't know what that's, I'm not sure what that is. But anyways, get a free copy of are not available digitally online. Well, that's stupid. So yeah, now if it's like a local place and you need a map of it, you can't access it online. You have to actually like drive to the place and get it. Like what a petty thing to do. Come on. That's really dumb. Eric said, my school's core biology class teaches, above all, how to read journal articles critically, good, and determine if procedures are thorough. Hell yeah. That's some of the training I got when I was in my college as well. They taught not only behavior analysis, but also like, look at these things with caution. Here's things to look for. Yeah. Florian, welcome in, dude. Good to see you. Seriously, UC Berkeley could publish their own journal. They probably could. They probably could do that. Yep. They probably could. That and like there's so many other like up and coming services, or I think probably competition for places like Elsevier. Like many people would love to publish these things for much more reasonable fees, in my opinion. But they would. And with the kind of garbage that Elsevier was trying to pull here, literally like doubling the amount of money they wanted for a 5-year contract for open access for everything. Like, yeah, I'm pretty sure people could do a lot better, you know? Yep, that too, Eric, yep. Sunnybet's answering this question of the day. There was a pretty bad restaurant in South Lake Tahoe, my birthday last year, right on the water. Super disappointing. That's unfortunate. Yeah. I gotta say, I've been to multiple places in South Lake Tahoe as well, and like they really aren't all that, some of them really aren't that good, you know? You would think like a beautiful place, kind of like a resort town, have hella good food. They really don't, you know, they really don't. But then again, like, where are they getting great ingredients from, you know? Like that, like I would say the infrastructure for like culinary greatness isn't there either. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, just the atmosphere of the place, you expect awesome food, they totally don't get it. So. Florian says most major universities have their press for things like historical works. Okay. Well, all right then. That'd be that would be cool if they were able to take that into their own hands and stuff like that. Considering, yeah, I mean they're already publicly funded for the most part, anyways. Kind of they have to. It's kind of subsidized with public funds, and then they have to pay tuition and whatnot if they're for anything, or students have to pay tuition as well. But still, like, yeah. Anyway, this kind of thing just annoys the crap out of me. I hate just like corporate greed in the first place, and like this standing in the way of knowledge as well. No, like this is for everybody. You don't get to put this behind a paywall. Unfortunately, they do, but like I said, I hope that this like becomes the push of like a revolution in this kind of stuff, and they just break away from that sort of thing. Like we shouldn't have to put this behind a paywall. Not only that, but like BK was saying, they also get to tell you what you get to publish and what you don't. Like, what? No, you can't even publish the article the way you want to publish it. No, hell no. Come on. Absolutely, Sonny. Yeah. Reno had some good restaurants. Yeah. I went to Reno and there was a delicious pizza place I ate at. It was really, really good. Yeah. But then again, more stuff kind of like grown around there. Yeah. Whereas Lake Tahoe, they don't do much agriculture around there. Most things are going to be trucked in from like probably the Sacramento area, and in the wintertime, how much stuff gets up there? Don't know. Okay, let's do this. Let's move on to the next article. Let's do it. That was the first thing. It was a little bit of science news. There's another article here. This one's all about... This is an article I found... I don't remember where I found this from, but I found this article about Alzheimer's and how the brain changes over the course of the disease. I was like, cool. Sounds like a longitudinal study or something like that, where they probably took multiple brain scans of multiple people over the course of their disease and stuff like that. I don't know. That's awesome, Sonny. I'm glad you enjoyed that. Never got into sushi myself. I mean, I'm vegan now, so obviously no sushi anymore. But even when I wasn't, I couldn't get into it. But I'm glad you enjoyed it. Glad you like that, man. Let's see. Yeah, it's not for everybody, right, Top Hat? I'm just glad people enjoy it, It's not for me. Other people can like it just fine, though. All right, so I read through a little bit of this and immediately thought, as people should when they see an article like this, where's the article this was based on, The person that writing this is likely not a doctor of this stuff. They didn't do the research themselves. In fact, it doesn't even say who authored this article. It doesn't say that. Like, it's just, there's no author listed here. It's just from Neuroscience News and 9th of March 2019. So yeah, it doesn't even say who wrote this. So that right there says I need to be looking for the article that this is based on. It says it's from CNRS, or the French National Center for Scientific Research, which says that it was probably published journal article somewhere. So I'm not even gonna bother. I skimmed through this, looked at the graphic a little bit, said, yep, this is an article I want to read. And okay, cool. Science or Neuroscience News and other sites are often pretty good about including the article that you want to look for, right? So here it is. And it even says it's open access. Hooray for freaking open access. That's dope. I know, right? BK, yeah, you're not even gonna put your name on it? Like, come on. You would think as an author of this kind of thing that you want to take credit for it. I don't know. I guess not. Maybe it's Neuroscience News's policy or something like that, where an individual doesn't get to put their name on it. I don't know, but you would think so. Well, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Sunny Bits. Tamago is Japanese for egg. So yeah, it's gonna have eggy sushi. Yeah, great vegan roll there. Cool. The asparagus California roll. Cool. I'm glad. I hope you enjoy it. I just hate seaweed. I can't do it. BK says metrics, yeah, including mentions on the internet / Twitter are really beginning to matter. Yeah, they kind of are. Social media presence is starting to matter more and more in many things, Yeah, and it really shouldn't maybe so much for science. I don't know. Should it matter for science? Should it not? I don't know. Not sure. Sophie K28, how you doing? This topic seems really interesting. Yes, I think it's going to be. Sophie, welcome on in. Good to see you. Nice to meet you. We were talking about how the UC system in California broke away from Elsevier, the large journal publisher. A couple weeks ago, they decided not to re-up their contract, and how I think that's great, because UC Berkeley wanted open access for their journals and stuff like that, open access publishing and open access access to it for their students and stuff like that, and journal just didn't want to do that. Publisher didn't want to do that, so they said, screw it, we're out. Good, I'm glad. Find somewhere else that will do that. So anyways, okay, so we're going to check out the article that goes along with this. There's a last minute bio homework. Well, that's awesome, Sophie. I can appreciate that. I love me some neuroscience is what we usually talk about this evening. I'm doing more general science. Like I said, I talked about actual real life science news. We're going to talk about a neuroscience article now, and then after this, we're going to talk about a more psychology based article and talk about what could maybe make the article better. What are some shortcomings of the article? So there you go, Eric. That's the idea, man. Melko, good to see you, man. How you doing? Love to hear what you have to say about this as well. Did you heard about UC Berkeley breaking away from Elsevier? Yeah. BK, thank you for the 84 biddies, dude. That's close enough. That's close enough to 100. You give all the time, so we'll give Fat Boy a wheel spin. Let's do it. Also, let me know if I'm speaking too quickly tonight, guys. I had a little caffeine. I might be speaking too quickly. Extra treat for Fat Boy. Well, what a lucky boy. Norway broke away too? Oh, I didn't hear about that. Oh, crap. Good. I'm glad. I hope everybody breaks away from Elsevier. Greedy bastards. Jeez. There's so many other... I bet there's many other places that would love to take over that business, you know? And do it for a much more reasonable price. There's an extra treat for Fat Boy, and I see you guys took out Sammy's snowshoe, which means little Fat Boy gets a treat. Y'all get some kitty cam. Some more. Thank you for donating again to Fat Boy's Fat Belly Fund, dedicated to keeping him the fattest kitty on Twitch. He appreciates it. I appreciate it. You all love it. It's a win-win-win. Little Fat Boy cam, indeed. He's going for the chomp. Oh, and he's going for the treat, dude. Always wants the treats. Oh, good boy. You take off now? But yeah, like I was saying when we were talking about that letter from UC Berkeley Melco, I think that I'm hoping that is like the start of a big push back against publishers and them gatekeeping access. You know, maybe you've experienced this too. But BK here was talking about how he tried to publish something, and they used a figure, you know, like a graphic that apparently the publisher didn't like, so they wanted them to change it before they would publish it. Like, dude. You not only do you make people pay out the ass to like have their article published in the first place, but then you also get to tell them how they have to publish it too. Like, screw that. Like, no. That's dumb. I'm sorry. It's messed up. It is. It's super messed up. No. Hell no, man. I bet that happens outside of science too. Like, just publishers in general probably get to tell you how to publish a book or something like that in general. I would think, but they shouldn't be able to, you know? Your job is to take the words that I wrote and the pictures that I have, put them on some freaking paper, bind that shit up in a hardback, and put it out there the way that I wanted it. Like, why do you get to tell me what I get to put in there? No. Same with science, same with books. Shut up and print it, or get out of my face. Like, why are you gatekeeping? It's an arbitrary edit. It kind of was, yeah. To hear it described, yeah. Melco says, yeah, at minimum, hopefully this is a wake-up call to the publishers and maybe chill out and reduce prices. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, they better start getting competitive, you know? Anyways, I really don't like that. I don't like that sort of gatekeeping, you know? Like, you don't get to restrict people's access to knowledge just because you want to make money. It's stupid. Shut up, journal, you and my dad. Exactly. Self-publishing is on the rise on all fronts. It is. I would agree. Yeah. Like, there's just like a lot of competition coming up, seeing how just bloated the large publishers are. Like, people can come up and do a lot better job for a lot less money, you know? Anyways, like I said, there was an interesting article I found, and when we look at a popular, quote-unquote popular article, oops, this is the wrong one, there we go. We look at a quote-unquote popular article through, i.e. not through a journal. Always look and see if you can find the journal source instead, the peer-reviewed journal source. And with this one we can. I found they actually list the open access journal right here at the bottom. They even tell you it's open access. They list a link to it. They also link the digital object identifier if you want to do that. This is a way you can always find a specific piece of research using the DOI. So I already have it open. It's right here. Boom. Lifespan changes in the human brain and Alzheimer's disease. Really cool article, I think. I think it's awesome. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about it too. So we'll talk about this one, we'll talk about the next one, and maybe some of the shortcomings of that next one, and we'll go from there. Now, it sounded like Melco was just like a figure to demonstrate some things about what they were talking about, just a visualization. Publisher didn't like it, wanted them to change it. Like, shut up. Let me publish it. Like, what are you doing, man? Anyways, no problem, Top Hat. See you in a minute, okay? Yeah, it's really silly. Analogy would help with understanding in most cases. Yeah. Yep. Indeed, it kind of does. Just total gatekeeping. They're like, what do they care? Like, what do they have to like maintain the integrity of their journal or what? Like, come on. It's ridiculous. Oh, snap. This guy. That guy right there. Text you. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming on in. Thanks for the host. Always good to see you, bud. Yep, somebody wanting to keep their science stuff stuffy. Indeed. Shouldn't be that way. Like I said, that's kind of adds to the barriers people already have. Beyond the pay barrier, there's also that academic language barrier, you know? Thanks for that host, Melko. Appreciate you, dude. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's alright, no, it's fine, BK, you're good. Don't be sorry about that. This is, I mean, it's a topic that pisses you off. It pisses me off too. I hate it. I hate that. I'm fine talking about this. I'll rant about this all freaking session. I don't care. I hate it. I would love to know that there's something more I could do to help make things more open access. I don't think I have much pull there, but like, if me talking about it potentially where anybody can come in and hear me and also get a fire lit in their belly, that's something I can do, you know? I hope it does. Anyways. See, Ninja says, based on the first word of the abstract, rate this article. Brain. 100%. Love it. Yes, love it. Anyways, so the abstract, most articles always start with an abstract, just a synopsis of what the article is going to be all about. So this one that looks at, as the article or title kind of says, look at changes across the lifespan using imaging studies, or imaging studies that look at that sort of thing, right? All right, so they used a large number of studies dedicated to, shortened to AD. Alzheimer's disease is going to be shortened to AD the rest of the article. They often do that the first time you see something in the beginning of the article. They'll shorten that down to its initials. You see it like that the rest of the article. So AD throughout the rest of this is just Alzheimer's disease. Okay. Exactly, BK. I'd say so. Not many people, if any, are talking about this kind of thing on Twitch already. So it's a good thing that I and the rest of us that are doing it. I usually get like really good responses from other places that I let other people know that I'm doing this kind of stuff too. Many people are interested in hearing about this, not just where they already hear about it, but also on Twitch live and stuff like that. So there's definitely an audience for it. Anyway, so one cool thing about this, they're going to look at basically different volumetric studies to talk about how Alzheimer's progresses across a lifespan, versus, and then compare that to cognitively normal, or basically typical or control group. Okay. And a really cool thing about this study is, boom, look at that N. The capital N, for those of you guys who don't know, that's basically the number of participants, or in this case, since there were no actual participants, they just used published or available data. This is the number of data points that they used. That's a lot of brains. Exactly, Malcolm. It is. It's a very large N. The larger your sample size, the larger your capital N, the greater confidence you can say that the results of your study can be attributed to the population, the general population, or the population of things that you're studying, you know? So for instance, if you wanted to look at, children with ADHD, if you get like 1,000 kids, if you get 100 kids, cool, that's a good thing. If you got like 1,000 kids with ADHD, awesome. 10,000 kids with ADHD, which one's going to have more power? The one with more kids in it, of course, If you're trying to generalize those results to all children that have ADHD, whatever those results might be, the more kids you study with ADHD, the more likely you can say, hey, what we found here likely can be ascribed to all kids with ADHD, or in this case, people with Alzheimer's, or brains in this case, because brains with and without Alzheimer's, So always more data is better. Accurate data first, and then more data after that. You always want to go for that. So larger N's are definitely a good thing for studies. All Twitch streamers are named Beta, N1, N equals 1. That's the one. I love it. Also, where are those Schwann cells found? Where are they found? BK should know this. That's all good. I have to expand your sample. I hope. We'll see. I like being the only beta on Twitch. I like it. I'm good. Anyways, so yeah, nice large N. It's freaking awesome. Again, that just makes it so you can more confidently generalize the results of whatever you find to the population at large. In this case, since they're considering kind of all brains, the brains of, cognitively normal, quote unquote, people and people with Alzheimer's, it's kind of talking about everybody. So it's good that they got access to so many people, If you don't know the answer to the neuroscience question, that's okay. The bot will tell you in just a minute. No worries. So they compared the normal, quote unquote, model on 2,944 control subjects or brains, right? And then a pathological model based on 3,262 patients with Alzheimer's disease and also what they call mild cognitive impaired brains or subjects, right? So I'm surprised to see subject used so much in studies. I thought they were moving away from that and using participants, but I guess not. I don't know. That's what I learned when I was in college. Maybe maybe that's more specifically for like psychological research, but I thought it was supposed to be participants now. I don't know. Hey, there you go, Draco. Like I said, I don't care if you guys go look that stuff up. I mean, I put a long time limit on it for a reason. I just want you guys to learn, So if you go look up the answer, no worries. Exactly. Right, BK? There you go. It's just for funsies. But they looked at 30,262 people that have or brains that had either Alzheimer's or mild cognitive impairment. They're going to explain a little bit later. Mild cognitive impairment is kind of like a precursor to Alzheimer's disease. It's kind of like the step before that. It's like where they kind of start to lose memory a little bit or kind of start to lose some executive function like a little bit, but it's not really like impairing their life, the kind of stuff that would normally happen as you get older, so yo, Gerbo, good to see you. You've commenced existence. That's good. I assume that happened a long time ago, Eric said, I mean, human subject studies are still called human subject studies, right? I don't know. Like I said, when I was in school for psychology and we were designing studies and stuff, we were said, do not say subjects. No, it's participants. Never subjects. But maybe that was just my school. I don't know. It seems to be the case because I see subjects all over the freaking place. And it's not just old research either. It's like pretty recent stuff. This is 2019. They're still talking about subjects. And they didn't even use people in this one. They used a publicly available data. So the proper term was guinea pig. See, Ninja, like you jest, but that's the whole reason why I was told like we shouldn't use subjects, because it makes it sound like you're subjecting people to something, and they want to move away from that. No, people are participating in a study. You have signed consent. It's good. They're there of their own free will. We're not putting them through this rigorous, nasty test or anything like that. This isn't the second coming of like any Phil Zimbardo experiment or anything like that, like, no, like we're not subjecting people to things. So I don't know. I guess it's not as widespread as I thought it was going to be, which whatever. It's just different. Thanks for welcoming Gerbo, everybody. I appreciate that. Oh, I see, Gerbo. Got it. I didn't know that. When Gerbo's not observed, she does not exist. Did not know this. So you guys might hear my phone buzzing. I'm looking at the notes that I have written for this on my phone, and that the tweet that I wrote that's probably over 3,200 likes by now is just buzzing my phone a lot. So I made a freaking viral tweet, everybody. It's pretty crazy. I never thought I'd be here, but it is what it is. So there you go, Ninja. That's what I was talking about. We should go back to the good old days of the Stanford prison experiment. Just let scientists do whatever. Totally. Yep. That's I believe it's the Zimbardo experiment. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. That study got shut down in the middle of it. What was the tweet about, Draco? Just general like Twitch etiquette, stuff like that. Will hit a nerve with a lot of people, it sounds like. What country is this article from? This is not an American one. I know that. I believe, oh gosh. Does it say here at the end? I forget. I believe it was, this is France and Spain, I believe, as a European study. That could be a big part of it too. Maybe it's that they don't use the same kind of language that we are taught to use here. That's a good idea. If you want a link to the article, I will put it in chat for you guys. Here it is. Boom. Feel free to go check it out if you want to read along with us. Saw the tweet, Draco? Yeah, it's all over, like I said. Yeah, watch Minefield's recreation that passed in IRB. No, I didn't, Eric. Wow, that's crazy. Cray, dude. Anyways. So yeah, this study, like I said, kind of, they propose, I'm not going to go through the introduction and all that. They're just basically going to describe what Alzheimer's is, talk about mild cognitive impairment, stuff like that, and then discuss like what they plan to do with the study. I'm going to skip down to the material and methods, talk about basically what they do, and then what they end up doing with it, right? Nebra, what's up? Good to see you, man. How are you? You're doing some journal article reviews, talking about how the journal publishing and review industry is kind of taking people by the balls and it's ridiculous. So yeah, how you doing? Good to see you. Eric says, "No, it's not like externally valid at all, but that wasn't the point. No, just an exploratory study." Yep, I get you. We're going to talk about the intent of or at least perceived intent of the study in the next study as well. Anyways, guys, I said, so this model, they're going to go through and talk, they define the different terms that they use. They use the cognitively normal model, or they use a cognitively normal brain or a set of brains to basically form their control group, or saying like, this is what a typical brain looks like across years, right? So they got data from 2,944 subjects, aged 9 months, so little bebés, to 94 years old. Okay, so they got a huge number of brains across a whole lifespan of ages. Said, okay, this is what brain volumes in these different areas that they're comparing look like across a lifespan, basically. Pretty much an entire lifespan, like 9 months to 94 years. It's a good chunk of time. You know, it's a good chunk of life. So I'd say that they made a pretty strong control group there, or comparison group, okay? And then for the Alzheimer's disease or mild cognitive impairment model, they used 3,262 subjects. They mixed together Alzheimer's disease patients with MCI patients, and then kind of compared those two together. And then for AD specific, they also divided up AD specifically. They used 2303. They mixed together Alzheimer's disease and also the younger cognitively normal patients. So they kind of, well, I'll talk about that later. And they also used the mild cognitive impairment sample was 2,836 samples. They used 959 mild cognitive impairment patients, and then also some younger cognitively normal brains as well. They were younger than 55. That's how they got the three different groups put together. Okay. And then, let's see. They talk about different ways, or so what they did is they used basically publicly available data from these different sources. They got just different volumetric or brain volumes, measured brain volumes from these different studies here. Or these different data sets from CMind, NDARD. They listed them out and said, hey, you can go get the brain data from these places. That's what they used to get the collection of volumetric data that they used to make their comparisons with. All listed out here. And then they did image processing. They used a online resource called VolBrain. Volume of the brain, I would guess that's kind of short for. It's a web-based online tool. You can actually go check it out on this website right here. Looked interesting. I mean, basically you just take your data, you upload it to their system. They analyze it for you, send it back to you. Boom. Says the full processing time is around 10 minutes. I don't know if that's for one brain or if that's for a group of brains. I would guess that that's for one brain. Being able to do like 3,000 brains in 10 minutes would be unprecedented. So I'm guessing it's about 10 minutes per brain. So yeah, that's what they did there. And there's a little bit more history about VolBrain and stuff like that there. Not going to read through the whole thing. They outlined how the statistical analyses go. I'm not going to go into that over much either. Really what I'm looking forward to getting to next is the visualization of what they found and talking about that with you guys. Okay. Probably 10 minutes for one scan. That's what I'm saying, Florian. Yeah, it probably is. Being able to do all the 3,000 to 4,000 brains in 10 minutes, unheard of at this point, unless it's extremely low low resolution or just not dense data at all. So yeah, 10 minutes for one scan probably. Yep. Anyways, so they put this together, did different statistical analyses as well. And what they ended up with is figure 1, right down here. Okay, basically what it shows is how the volume of different parts of your brain, or different parts of the brains that they looked at, I believe there were at least 9, maybe 10 different parts of the brain, the volumes of those different parts of the brain, how those compare to each other across a lifespan, compared or with cognitively normal brains, quote unquote, compared to mild cognitive impairment brains and Alzheimer's disease brains. Okay. Also, there's the next neuroscience question in chat. What gland does the hypothalamus interface with for the release of systemic hormones? Pituitary gland, that's the one, not the adrenal glands. The pituitary gland ends up kind of being the intermediary between the adrenal cortices and other things in your body, right? That's the one. Florian says maybe people get smarter by trimming down the dumb parts. It's possible. They're saying that, we don't have the biggest brains in nature. Elephants, whales' brains, those are way, way larger than ours, right? But clearly size can't be everything as far as intelligence is concerned. Because, as far as we know, we are the most cognitively advanced species on the planet. We like to call ourselves that anyways. Maybe whales and elephants are leaps and bounds beyond intelligent than we are, and they figured out something we don't, and they just bother to associate with us. I don't know, could be that too, but clearly the size of the brain isn't everything. It must have to do with the way things are set up and connected as well, right? Dolphins are really smart. They are really smart, but do they have the same cognitive abilities as us? We don't know. Dolphin brains are different too. Distraction said the limbic system showed the most change. It seems that way. It's parts of the limbic system, yeah. It does seem that way for sure. Efficiency makes the brain go around. It does. Your brain is all about efficiency for sure. Density of the brains matter too. It does. But also connection between how many neurons there are, connections between those neurons. All that stuff matters. A lot of stuff matters for sure. We have a much more complex layouts of neurons with layers on layers. We do. They're also connected differently. There's probably difference between species in myelination or lack thereof. All kinds of. We have been shown in October of last year, I think, or maybe November, December, sometime last year. There was an article that came out, and we commonly compare our brains to rat brains or our neurons to rat neurons. But they showed anatomical and physiological differences between our neurons and rat neurons. They're fundamentally different neurons too. So not only do we have a brain with a different layout, a different size and all that stuff, but the neurons themselves are fundamentally different, So number of synapses is a huge variable. Exactly, it is. And that's all mediated by number of neurons and connections between them. What's the happy medium? What's the best ratio? I don't know yet. Maybe it's mice that are most intelligent. I don't know about that, Taxi. I don't know. Maybe. Like I said, maybe they just know stuff and they haven't told us. Anyways, so the figure talks about how the hippocampus and amygdala models present marked divergences between Alzheimer's disease or mild cognitive impairment, that precursor to Alzheimer's disease, and cognitive normal model. Okay. What says that this indicates this divergence increases with age. So what that's basically saying is that they found the most difference in the hippocampus and the amygdala between cognitively normal patients and people with Alzheimer's and or mild cognitive impairment. That's where the biggest thing, or that's where the biggest differences lie. Okay. If we compare number of synapses, not very easily, I would think. Jeez. There's a lot that goes into that, Anyway, so that's where they found the biggest difference, right? And that big difference looked like it started around 40 to 45 years in most people. So they're thinking maybe this is some sort of precursor. What's the word I'm looking for? A symptom that they could look at for people that they suspect of having autism, or you can go in and get a volumetric scan of some sort around 40 to 45 see what this looks like, or see how your volumes look compared to other people, and say, hey, you might be at risk for developing Alzheimer's. Maybe start getting stuff in order. Or, actually your volumes in your hippocampus and amygdala look good. You're at a lesser risk of Alzheimer's. They might be able to use this as some sort of indicator of that in the future. Yo, what's up, Gemini? So, hey, it's the famous viral influencer Anna Beta talking about that freaking tweet I put out that's going viral. Still going viral. I was thinking like, oh man, overnight it's going to calm down. No, it's been going all day. Like, what's it up to now? Oh my god, it's crazy. I can't even keep up with it. Let's see. Just about 4,000 likes and 800 retweets. Like, it's going faster, if anything. Holy crap. I did not intend for that to happen. I mean, I always want to like make impactful statements, but damn, people took this one and ran with it, dude. Jeez. Freaking Gemini. Don't forget about his little people now that you're rich and famous. It was a good tweet. Thank you, Nebra. Like I said, I mean, it's a tweet, by a streamer for streamers, hot button issue, something people can relate with for sure. And I think it's stated in a way that's like makes you think about it, not so much like, I don't like this. Like, that's a tweet that can happen, sure, but it's not very constructive, This is one that invites conversation, so I think it was done well. I didn't think it was going to be done this well, and it was going to be ran with like this, but hey, it's okay. It is what it is, 1 like equals $1 in royalties. That's how Twitter works, right? Totally, yeah. Yeah, I'm totally going to make $4,000 at least off of this. Yeah, absolutely. That's how that works. Yep. Totally. Twitter made that much in their IPO a few years ago. They can totally do that, yeah. Absolutely. That's how that works. Anyways, like I was saying, the biggest volumetric differences in these brains, the cognitively normal brains and the Alzheimer's disease, mild cognitive impairment brains. Okay. Biggest differences between the hippocampus and amygdala starts around year 40, year 42. They also said the lateral ventricles also exhibit early divergence, okay, starting around 42 years between both models. Okay, we're going to talk about that too. And I love how they laid this out. You can easily see what they're talking about. They laid this out in a graph for us. They show you how the different volumes compare over time. You can easily see the divergence between them, right? So I think this is a really cool way for them to do that. This is what drew me to this. Not that like, cool, I can understand it now, but more like this makes it accessible for people. You have a visual way to look at the representation of what they're talking about, right? There it is, Ninja. Exactly. What if our brain generates our mutual attraction to one tweet over another tweet? It might. It probably does in some way, shape, or form, Just saying. But anyways, we can see the red line here. This is the AD/MCI model, or Alzheimer's disease mild cognitive impairment model. And the black line here, that is the cognitively normal model. So for the most part, many of these are similar, White matter and gray matter don't seem to differ too much, but they do differ. Consistently in these, the mild cognitive impairment / Alzheimer's disease group is lower, or has a lower volume across time than the cognitively normal volume, or the cognitively normal model. There we go. Geez. Okay. Pretty consistently, right, across most models. And as they said above, the amygdala and the hippocampus, those show a marked divergence. Like, look how much less volume there is in the hippocampus and the amygdala versus the other areas of the brain, right? Pretty crazy, right? It says the part of the brain that makes you attracted to his tweets in particular is the inobasal ganglia. Freaking love it, dude. That's so good. Oh my god. But anyways, like they said, they outline that very well here. Amygdala and hippocampus. Big difference between the AD/MCI population and the cognitively normal population, as they said, right? Which, if you think about what you might know about Alzheimer's disease, it kind of makes sense, With Alzheimer's disease, there aren't a lot of motoric difficulties. There can be some, but that's not like the hallmark trait of it, It's more cognitive difficulties, like, memory difficulties for sure, like people with Alzheimer's often just don't know where they are, when they are, any of those things, like the autobiographical functions, the memory functions, those aren't there. There can be emotional lability as well, so, and difficulty just cognitively in general. So amygdala and hippocampus can be huge players in that for sure. I don't know why they didn't look at frontal lobe volumes. That would have been interesting to see, but I bet you would see marked differences there as well. So emotion and short-term memory, are those correct? Short-term memory is more of a frontal lobe thing, distractions, but long-term memory is definitely mediated by the hippocampus. And like I said, that's totally gonna, if that starts to go, it's gonna totally affect your ability to orient yourself in space and time and things like that too, you know? Spatial memory difficulties as well. Like I said, this study didn't look at frontal lobe volumes. I bet that they would find something different there too. But amygdala and hippocampal volumes definitely changed. This is something that's interesting though. Look at this. The lateral ventricles. The volume of those increases in people with Alzheimer's. Why? Why is that? Why are the lateral ventricle volumes increasing in people with Alzheimer's compared to people, the cognitively normal people? Why is that? There's the next neuroscience question in chat as well. Which type of cells lets us see movement and light better? Which type of photoreceptor lets us see movement and light better? Rods, there you go, Gerbo. Right on it. Good job, girl. Globus pallidus is making up for it. I don't know. Globus pallidus is just there. I wouldn't say it's making up for much. Indeed, Gerbo. Cones are for color for sure. Florian's got to head out. Gotta catch the rest on the VOD. No problem, no worries. No worries. Florian, good to see you. We'll see you next time, okay? Anyways, guys, like I was saying, the lateral ventricles, right? The volume of those goes up in people. That's going up in people with the volume of those ventricles is increasing in people with Alzheimer's and mild cognitive impairment. Why? Well, recall what the ventricles are, you know? Yeah, Nibra? Good, I'm glad. That's what it's all about, man. So recall what the ventricles are. What are the ventricles in our brain? What do those do? The posterior what, Gerbo? But what do the ventricles in our brain do? Let's think this through, right? Oh, okay, got it. What type of cells let you see into the twilight zone? I don't know. Crazy. I haven't watched enough Twilight Zone to make a statement about that. Oh, gotcha, Gerbo. The Rod Serlings. Wow! These brain jokes, dude. Jeez. Gemini is straight savage with these. I don't believe it. Distraction says, yeah, they're CSF ducts. Well, not only that, the ventricles are not only CSF ducts or cerebrospinal fluid ducts, but they're kind of cerebrospinal fluid holding tanks, right? So if these different brain areas are decreasing in size, right, then there's going to be more space within the brain for CSF to exist, right? If there's brain atrophy, they're literally shrinking in size, there's going to be more free space inside of your cranium and inside the brain itself, like where the ventricles are. So as your brain kind of atrophies away, especially in Alzheimer's disease, where that atrophy is greatly increased in speed, you know, that's going to mean that there's necessarily more room in your ventricles. You're going to have larger ventricles because there's just less brain matter there now, right? Fully sprace, exactly. So that's why this is like. If you don't think about it, it looks like, oh, well, at least they get some increase. Well, no, this is a bad increase. You don't want larger ventricles, especially if it comes to the expense of your brain atrophying away to make more space for cerebrospinal fluid in there. You don't want that. You want ventricles that are just spaced enough. You don't want big ones, you know, because that means smaller overall brain size, you know. Ventricles are cavities, kind of like that, sort of, a little bit. They are cavities in the sense that they are spaces inside of something, but not cavities like they are in your teeth where it's like a rotting space. It's not like that so much, but I mean, ventricles are supposed to be in your brain. They're supposed to be there. They are literally just reservoirs of CSF, right? That's supposed to happen, but you don't want those expanding throughout your life at a high rate, you know? So that's something that can happen as well, but most of the rest of this stuff is doesn't decrease too much faster. So there's areas here, the caudate, the globus pallidus, and the putamen. We didn't talk about those yet on stream. For those of you who don't know what those are just areas involved in motor planning, movement, and execution, inhibition as well, right? Midbrain structures that are all involved in movement. We'll talk about those soon when we talk about movement on stream. But those aren't super impacted, which kind of makes sense, because if you think about Alzheimer's difficulties, there's a lot of cognitive ones, but motorically, for the most part, people with Alzheimer's are pretty much intact, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, because one, like, they can get up and move about easily, but also they can get up and move about easily. So if they're really confused and very what's the word I'm looking for? Not deranged, but they're really losing touch with reality, which is kind of the hallmark trait of Alzheimer's. You don't want they basically require like eyes on them at all times to make sure they don't get into trouble, since they're basically up and able to move about, but they're kind of losing touch with reality. They become more and more of a danger to themselves. So, it's can be very difficult for sure. Yeah. You're right, Draco. He does indeed love some Bloodborne for sure. Indeed. That's the one. What part of the brain makes Sekiro come out faster? Oh, geez. None of it, unfortunately. No. I thought this is a very interesting figure that really displayed the findings of the study in a very easy to digest manner. Main findings, again, being that around 40 years of age or so, there's a huge decrease in the volume of the amygdala and the hippocampus, and also, accordingly, a pretty large increase in the size of the lateral ventricles as well. And then also just a faster rate of decline for other general areas of the specific and then also general areas of the brain as well. And notice that like all of these graphs have a similar shape, that's because, brain atrophy or, just death of neurons and, just a decrease in brain size does happen throughout your life to everybody. And it's going to happen to everyone eventually. Just atrophy in old age happens to not only your body and your sensory organs and all that stuff, but also happens in your brain too. And that's just typical cognitive decline as you get older, As you get older, you tend to be a little less sharp mentally, a little slower mentally, just be a bit more forgetful mentally, and, a bit more difficult with executive functions and taking care of activities of daily living on your own and stuff like that. Your brain just gets old and starts to kind of lose some of its mass. It happens to everybody. But all people with Alzheimer's disease and stuff, it happens at a much faster rate. That's where you get that early onset dementia was the word I was looking for earlier. That's where you get that early onset dementia, Dementia is basically just brain atrophy that starts to impact your quality of life and independence and whatnot, which can happen to anybody in old age. But Alzheimer's happens very quickly, suddenly, and earlier in a person's life, So it leads to basically many less years than would be expected of independent living. That's why it's kind of a big deal, So they also had another figure, which I thought was awesome, where they really just started compared the volumes of the hippocampus, the lateral ventricles, and the amygdala, which I thought was interesting. Cognitively normal again is the black. The MCI, or the mild cognitive impairment model, is the yellow. So not as good, not as structurally intact as the cognitively normal model, but not nearly as impaired as the red Alzheimer's disease model as well. It's kind of somewhere in the middle, right? So of course, Alzheimer's disease is the most impacted. Sharpest decrease and lowest volume in hippocampus and amygdala volumes. Biggest increase in lateral ventricle models as well, or lateral ventricle volumes as well. And then in the middle there we have the mild cognitive impairment, somewhere in between those two. They also looked at how quickly these things change in years, a very sharp increase in the volumetric change in the lateral ventricles in the Alzheimer's and mild cognitive impairment groups compared to the cognitively normal group. Gosh, it's getting really hard to say those words. And the bottom, it just basically compares the rate of change in the mild cognitive impairment in Alzheimer's disease to cognitively normal groups, which is why there's only 2 graphs here instead of 3, because you can't compare the cognitively normal group to the cognitively normal group. It would just be a flat graph on the bottom, like it's not represented. You're comparing itself to itself. So this is just basically how the rate of changes kind of compares to the cognitively normal group itself, and they're much, much different, you know? So again, big takeaway from this article is, early onset volumetric reductions in hippocampus and amygdala, in the hippocampus and amygdala, and also volumetric increase in the lateral ventricles as well. Around 40 or so years, like they said. So it could be used as some sort of early diagnostic criteria for diagnosing I want to say autism again, Alzheimer's. There we go. Ninja says, excuse me, sir, Mr. Ainu Beta. Can you tell me the amygdala to have mercy on the hippocampus? I can't. Can't control amygdala, man. Sorry. Can't do it. Distraction says that those taxi drivers had big hippocampal volume, which later they actually showed that wasn't really the case. They controlled for different things in the study and found that wasn't actually true. Would a spatial memory game offer some sort of benefit? There's been research on different brain training games, not like Lumosity or anything like that, but actually ones geared towards elderly patients and Alzheimer's patients and stuff like that. Or that they were either trying to do research with it, or they had research that showed good results. And some of them are spatially based. Some of them were like sound discrimination. Some of them were spatial memory tasks and stuff like that. It was interesting, but I don't know if that kind of stuff would help or not. I couldn't say. I would guess that basically, like anything, working out, keeps your body stronger for longer periods of your life. Using your body does, but also just learning new skills and straining your brain and making it work and doing puzzles and things like that keeps your brain healthier for longer too. So why wouldn't a spatial memory game do that? Couldn't say it wouldn't. No problem. Distractions. That's what I heard anyways. I could be totally wrong about that. Being fallible and all that stuff. I could be wrong, but that's what I heard. A little bit too late on that one, Sunny Bits. You're coming in for the win. Keyboard's hard. It's true. So that was that study. I thought it was very well designed, very interesting. What do you guys think of it? Any aha moments? Any sort of comments? Any sort of shortcomings? What do you guys say? 5 out of 7 study. All right. Ninja's got those fast fingers when he knows the answers. When he doesn't know the answers, he's got the fast fingers for them jokes. Always got those. I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. While you gather those thoughts together and let me know what you think. I'm going to go ahead and use the bathroom real quick and then come on back and we'll continue. And we're going to talk about an article about trolling. Okay. Yes, actually trolling, like internet trolling. There's been some research done on that. We're going to come back and talk about that, okay? Anyways, I see you guys throw out the numbers for the article to say why. Like, what did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? What would you change? What would you like to see more of? All that good stuff, okay? I'll be right back to hear what you guys have to say about that in a minute. Just going to use the bathroom. See you in a second. All right, welcome back, everybody. Good to see you guys. Let me catch up on the chat here. Okay, I see Dream Sanity. Yeah, it would have been nice to see neurochemical volumes as well, but that might have been outside the scope of the study, in my opinion. But hey, that would have been nice. It's good stuff. Yeah, distractions, great diagnosis criteria, and that are signs. Yeah, exactly. I think it's good to be able to see those volumetric signs for sure. It's going to help in the future. And Nebra is now a part of the neural net. Dude, you awesome person. Yeah, thank you. Hell yeah. Glad to have you. Check out them sub perks down below in the channel description. Okay. And I see the givers are already giving, if you guys don't know what that's all about. If you give 500 BDNF to the newest member of the neural net, old Nebra, okay, you'll be entered into a $5 Steam gift card drawing at the end of the week. There's already a few drawing entrants here, okay? Thank you, Nebra. I appreciate that. And around here, the VIPs are the newest subs. So Nebra, enjoy sub for the next month of your the first of your subs around here, the first month of your sub around here, okay? Appreciate you. Thank you very much. So who's in this drawing then? I see Draco hooked up Ninja. That's awesome. Draco's in it. Ninja's in it. And Gerbo's in it. And Dream Sanity's in it. We got you. Let me get you guys entered right now. I believe most of you guys already have entry tickets. Yep, there's one for Gerbo. Oh my gosh, stop. There's one for Gerbo. Going in the bucket. And then I need... who else? Nope. I know there's one for Ninja in here. There it is. Go to Orange Ninja. Going in the bucket. It does actually say Orange Ninja. Boom. Orange Ninja going in the bucket. We need Draco, and I also need... somebody. Dream Sanity. There we go. That's the one. There's Draco's entry. Right there. Boom. Draco going in the bucket. Mackenzie, my friend. How you doing? Hope you're doing well, friend. Good to see you. We're doing a little bit of a journal article review. It's a little something we haven't done before. And yeah, just entering some names into the bucket for the newest sub around here. And Gil Nebra decided to join the neural net and connect with us. I appreciate that. Good to see you, Mackenzie. We get some love and chat from Mackenzie. Welcome her on in, please. I know she'd appreciate that. Don't have one for Dream Sanity yet. What the heck? I know he's entered before. There. Enter that now. There's Dream Sanity's entry. It's going in. We're too kind? No, we're not kind enough, Mackenzie. We can always be kinder, okay? A friend of mine, Nomac on Twitter the other day put out a tweet, said kindness is always on the table, no matter who's at the other seats. And you know what? Being even more kind is always on the table too. Never be too much. Can't say I am, Ninja. Can't say I am. Nomac is coolio. I agree. It's good people. It's good people. I enjoy knowing him. But anyways, that was the study we just went over. Now we're going to go over another study. Okay, this one's a more psychological in nature. And the journal, Personality and Individual Differences, which is a legitimate and peer-reviewed article. Just like published by Elsevier. We were talking about them with UC Berkeley earlier, right? How they decided to part ways. But yeah, this is a peer-reviewed research journal. It's all published. Okay. I looked this one up just to get more information about it. Not super impactful. They rate scientific journals, but on like an impact scale. Basically, how many times the articles within that journal are cited by other journals across a period of time. This one's got an impact rating of like 1.9 or something compared to Nature, the journal Nature, which is a huge journal, which has an impact rating of around 30 to 40, 35 to 40 actually. So relatively a less impactful journal, but still a peer-reviewed journal in its own right. So, yep. Gemini says German kids are the best because in Germany, children are kinder. Got 'em. Yep. Fun fact, in case you guys didn't know, kindergarten as we call the first grade in school here in America. Kindergarten literally means like kid's garden in German. It's actually a German phrase or German compound word. Yeah. Ninja coming in with that hot neuroscience answer. Good job, man. Yeah, based on the first word of the abstract, rate please. In. 0 out of 10. Boom, done. I love that joke, Gemini. That was a good one. I liked it. Anyways, this article is called Trolls Just Want to Have Fun. It's all about internet trolling. That's what it's all about. This is a actual research study done to find out the personality profile, I guess, or personality traits that might be associated with trolling on the internet. Okay. my assumption, I was thinking of my assumption that most trolls are male the other day. Not sure why I assumed that. You may not be wrong, honestly. It wouldn't surprise me. But I mean, it could be wrong too. There are definitely female trolls out there too. Wouldn't surprise me. It may look different. May look less traditionally trolly. I don't know. Anyways, this was done by Aaron Buckels, Paul Trapnell, and Delroy Paulhus. I'm not sure how you say those names, but these three authors wrote this one. And they're all out of Canada. Different ones around Canada, okay? They're like onions? No, it's ogres. There you go. I was to say, what? What? So anyways, nice N in this study. Nice large sample size that they say here. But you have to keep in mind, they have a total N, or total number of participants of 1,215. There we go. And this article is two studies conducted online. So it's different than a normal study where it's just one study. This article actually contains two different studies that they did. So a little bit different format, you know? 200, 115, that's it. Yep, 100, 215, that's it. That's what I'm going for. But anyways, this has two actual studies in it. Decent size end. That's good stuff. And yeah, so this basically says that respondents completed personality inventories and a survey of their internet commenting styles. Okay, they're going to use these things to make some associations between personality types and trolling behavior. Right. Overall, strong positive associations emerged among online commenting frequency, trolling enjoyment, and troll identity, pointing to a common construct underlying the measures. Okay, both studies, okay, revealed similar patterns of relation between trolling and what they call the dark tetrad of personality. Trolling correlated positively with sadism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Okay, using both enjoyment ratings and identity scores. So we're going to talk about what all that means in a minute. Okay. Of all personality measures, sadism showed the most robust associations with trolling, and importantly, the relationship was specific to trolling behavior. Okay, enjoyment of other online activities, such as chatting and debating, was unrelated to sadism, which means that people that rated highly in sadism tended not to care so much about chatting and debating for just the sake of chatting and debating, more for other things. And thus, they make a claim: cyber trolling appears to be an internet manifestation of everyday sadism. Okay. Distraction said, "Do these guys use MTurk for their studies?" Funny you should mention that. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. And I'm not going to say that's good or bad. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about that. Okay. You guys don't know what Mechanical Turk is? It's run through Amazon. Okay, and they actually introduced that here. But basically, what it is, yeah, Gerbo, I'm talking about it right now. MTurk is short for Mechanical Turk. Weird name, but what they do basically is they put up a survey or something like that, or give a small task you could do like on your computer and say, hey, well, we'll pay you some tiny amount of money to do this, right? So in this case, for both these studies, they gave people 50 cents and said, hey, do these surveys, we'll give you 50 cents. Done. I'll bet, Sunny Bits. I'll bet. So here in the introduction, they they define trolling and put it into, or talk about what it is for people that don't really know what trolling is, right? Us being on Twitch, we kind of have an idea of what that is already, being, you know, ready internet users, right? And right away, one of the things that I noticed about this this study, and those of you who have read this might have noticed about it as well, is that this one is very much linguistically accessible compared to other studies, right? Like compared to the last study, this one's a lot less like academically dense. You use a lot less what I would call like jargon, right? It's not that I would call it that. That's a term for it. He uses a lot less jargon, you know? So there isn't like a jargon barrier here. This is a lot plainer English. He uses more, you know, it's just lay terms. It's more accessible language-wise, in my opinion, you know? Wonder if those are worth doing, Gerbo? I didn't think they were, but I mean, hey, whatever. You notice that straight away after reading the title and abstract, Gerbo? Yeah, exactly, right? It's much more accessible, right? So that's a good thing, in my opinion. That's a great thing. High Top says it's called Mechanical Turk. Oh, good, because of an automaton in history that looked like a robot, but really had a person controlling it. Hence, people doing the work of a computer. Oh, okay, interesting. Never heard of that before. But hey, all right, there you go. Ninja says I like Twitch RPG surveys. I don't directly get paid, but I get to give decent amount to others. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Have you guys been hearing my phone buzzing at all? I want to make sure you're not. I'm pretty sure you're not, but I want to make sure. All right. So again, very accessible language. I love that. First paragraph kind of gives an explanation as to what trolling is, in case you didn't know already. No? Good, thank you. That boy's being a good boy. He is. I'm surprised there isn't a quest going. I bet it's time for one. Anyways. So yeah, it says, despite public awareness of the phenomenon, there's little empirical research on trolling. They go on to list some of the different studies that have been done on trolling. Okay, names that I hadn't heard of before, but then again, not looking at the sort of thing, I wouldn't know them either. So, but there's been a little bit of interest, a little bit of study on this. It looks like. Okay, let's see, and they describe some of those studies as well. They say that frequency of activity is an important correlate of antisocial uses of technology, or basically people that use technology more frequently, or are on the internet more often, right, are thought to correlate higher with trolling, or be more likely to be internet trolls, right? And in this case, trolling is not so much just joking with somebody or trying to get their go, but more like maliciously trolling, like being a total asshole, you know? I think nowadays we use that term trolling like interchangeably just to mean like messing with somebody, and there can be different levels of trolling. Here, trolling is like malicious trolling. It's like bad news, you know? There you go. There you go. Sonny uses it right there. So Beta was trolling us. He knew there was a quest. I see exactly like that. Yeah, I'm just messing with you. Whereas like with this, they're talking about like they're actually like out to hurt people's feelings, you know? So keep that in mind for the rest of the study. That's what they're talking about when they're talking about trolling. They're not using that broad descriptive term. They mean like malicious, mean trolling, right? Hey boy, come on over. Come on over, bring your fat ass. Let's go. Come on up. A lot of trolls really suck at it though. They do. Just because like you like to be mean to people and do stuff like that doesn't mean you're good at it, you know? Yeah, bring your fat self. You get treats up here. You don't get to help yourself in the drawer, buddy. No, thank you. I'm bringing it. You don't have to try and knock it out of my hands. I'm bringing it. Thank you guys for donating again to Fat Boy's Fat Belly Fund, dedicated to keeping him the fattest kitty on Twitch. He appreciates it. I appreciate it. You all love it. It's a win-win-win. Hey, there's that next neuroscience question. Draco's on it. Type of cells, let us see color. Cones, indeed. I'm sure Gerbo is right behind Draco on that one. It just says they go for that instant shock value. Yep, but you really gotta go for that slow burn, I guess. Or you just, you know, not troll at all. There's that too. All right. Oops, no, we're up here. I see, Draco. There you go. See, they'll come back eventually. Like I said, this is one claim that they're making, that increased use or increased time spent on time spent online in these sorts of situations means that you're more likely to be a troll, right? A malicious troll. Yeah. Oh, I see, Ninja. All right, gotcha. Anyways, Let's skip ahead a little bit. They just kind of describing more what they're looking at, more of what they're looking at. And here's that term again, dark tetrad of personality, right? The noxious personality variables known as the dark tetrad of personality. Narcissism, or basically thinking that you are super attractive, beautiful, important, things like that. Machiavellianism, or basically, oh gosh dang it, I looked at that earlier. Oh yeah, thinking that your pursuits are much more important than everybody else's, take precedence over everybody else. And I'm guessing the guy Machiavelli really exemplified. And psychopathy, or lack of empathy for others, right? C-Death says, yeah, trolls are bullies. Oh my god, I hate bullies. They could be seen as bullies for sure. Yep, absolutely. And also, sadistic personality. I guess that's 4 things. It's not 3 things, that's 4 things. But that's what the dark tetrad is these 4 things, right? But look at the, and is there anything you notice about these names here? What do you guys see in the names there? If we're reading through this with a very critical eye, what do you guys see in those names? I don't know either, Ninja. I don't know either. Never read any of the stuff. So what's up with these names here? What's so special about these? Anything? They look familiar? At all? Any of these names look familiar here? They all end in S? Well, there is that. Some of them, most of them do. They show who wrote them. They do, yeah, they show who wrote them, but look who it is. There's the author. There's the author. There's the author again, right? So they're basically what we're seeing here is the authors are referring to a concept in this study that they came up with themselves. They're citing their own papers, yes, which isn't a bad thing by itself, but you want to watch out for that being done a lot, right? They did say, like, over here, oh, there's not a lot of research done. They cited other research done in this area. Cool. And they talked about these other things going on in trolling here, but they cited their own research here, right? Yeah, they are the authors of these papers for sure. Distractions. They came up with this term, the dark tetrad, and how it results to sadism and all that stuff, and that's their own concept. And they're writing this paper about trolling, right? Just want to keep that in mind. You want to have a variety of sources? Yeah, exactly. They do. But this is one time when we're seeing them talk about themselves, right? Or they're using their own criteria, their own concepts, all that stuff, right? Which again, by itself, like logically, that doesn't mean anything, you know? If somebody has their own idea about something and they apply it to something else, that doesn't make it any less valid than taking somebody else's idea or concept and applying it to a situation. But it does kind of bring about that really bad B word that we're looking for, or brings out the possibility of, or at least the perception of, that nasty B word we come across in, oh gosh, research all the time, bias, right? So it does, at least, like I said, bring about the perception or possibility of bias in the study, right? So let's keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. They're gonna reference this dark tetrad a lot, or at least a few times. Yep, distractions got it. Yep. That's what we're talking about. I see. So this kind of thing is yet to be investigated in the trolling literature because they're the only ones that really research it. So, and it really hasn't been that long, like 6 years or 5 or 6 years in this research really hasn't been that long for people to have time to do something with it yet. So anyways, they're going to continue to talk about more about what they're going to do and all that stuff. And let's see, there's another reference to one of the authors, the dark tetrad again, talk about the dark tetrad in their own research. So to evaluate the predictors of internet trolling, they administered questionnaires to student and community samples in 2 online studies. Okay, that's what they did. They're going to explain what they're doing in these 2 studies. In study 1, they focused on predicting enjoyment of trolling. They're seeing basically what people get out of it, or predicting which people are going to enjoy trolling. That's okay, distractions, we're fine. No worries. I'm glad that you were thinking about it, dude. No worries. So it said they expect the dark tetrad, or these things, narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sadistic personality, would be positively associated, and this study is looking only at associations, and yeah, is that what the word I'm looking for? Yeah, associations. And before anybody goes there, yes, association doesn't imply causality. We know that. Okay, doesn't mean it's not relevant. Everybody loves to drop that little tidbit of wisdom and as if that refutes the entire study. It doesn't. Associations are still valid. They're still valid, but they aren't the end all be all at all. Okay, so this is mainly looking for associations or correlations. Okay, we know correlation doesn't imply causation. We're good. Still, the study's still going to look at it, and it's still valid stuff. Okay. But yeah, they expect that the dark tetrad would be positively associated or correlated with a tendency to rate trolling as the most favored activity on trollable websites, which they define as websites that permit users to interact by posting comments. So it could be Twitch, it could be Reddit, it could be any of those things, right? Where people just have the opportunity to be assholes, basically, and whether or not they take those opportunities or not. They're saying basically, if people rate higher in narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, or sadistic personality, then it's probably going to mean that they're more likely to be a-holes on sites where they can be a-holes. Right? Essentially, that's what they're looking for. And then they further... They're also going to look at it and compare big 5 dimensions. If you guys haven't heard of the big 5 dimensions, okay, those are, actually, I think they talk about it down here a little bit, don't they? Yeah, they do. I'll talk about that in a second. They're going to talk about the big 5 personality inventory, okay? So, they're going to say that they're going to try to draw some associations between the dark tetrad and the big 5 personality inventory as well, okay? So, here's study number 1, 418 participants. It's a good size number of participants, I would say. From Amazon's Mechanical Turk website, okay? They had them complete a large battery of personality questionnaires. Mainly, they had them take, let's see, what did they have them take? They're paid 50 cents for their time. They had them take what's called the Short Sadistic Impulse Scale, which I couldn't find any information about, unfortunately. Where they, and I think I quoted this in the Discord as well. I'm just gonna put this away. Yeah, they quoted this I quoted this in the Discord as well, but they go through and rate on a 1 to 5 scale. Questions such as hurting people is exciting. They rate either they strongly disagree or strongly agree. I can't even imagine, like, comprehend putting a 5 to an answer to a question like this. I can't even imagine that. I can't imagine this at all. I just don't understand it. I don't know. I don't know what's up with that. I can't imagine that, you know, but I guess there's some people out there that would answer a 5 to that, and I can't imagine that at all. I just can't even go there. So anyways, but that's out there. So they have them complete this scale, the Short Sadistic Impulse Scale. They also, hey, Dream Sandy, that would go great in the Discord under the science section, man. Okay. Love to see it, and I'm not gonna be able to look at it right now, but if you want to put that in the Discord for all to see, and myself, be a great place for that. Ninja says that question's loaded. I think exciting and enjoyable are different. Maybe. I think that they can be similar, in my opinion. I say to be excited about hurting people in general. They get at the same kind of stuff, man. You know, I think they do. They also had them take another test, the Varieties of Sadistic Tendencies scale. Okay, which look who that's made by. Recognize that? There he is again. One of the people that wrote the study. Boom, that guy. Also designed one of the rating scales that they gave to the people in this assessment, or in this paper. Yeah, Sunny Bits, exactly. A little scary that there are people who do answer a 5 to that. Yes, right. So yeah, this study, this metric was designed by one of the people that wrote the study. So yeah, typically you might not want to, I don't know. I think that kind of detracts from the impact of the study potentially, because it's people who are experts in or see themselves as, or have a large publication history of certain personality traits, who designed a specific metric to look for specific personality traits in people, and they're looking to prove the existence of that in a certain population. Guess what they're going to find? You know? People that have a tool designed to find something, that are experts in finding that thing, looking specifically for that in something, or looking specifically for that in a population, guess what they're going to find? You know? Maybe they're MMA enthusiasts of a certain type. I don't know. Maybe. It could be that. That's possible, but maybe not. I would guess the MMA enthusiasts don't spend a ton of time online. Just saying, you know. Then just says, depending on one's definition of excited, they might answer 5 because they get amped up having to punch somebody. Doesn't mean they go around looking for people to punch. I don't know. People usually go around trying to do the things that they enjoy. So if somebody really enjoys fighting, they're probably going to enroll in something or go out and start fights in order to do that, you know? Just saying. It stands to reason that if somebody enjoys doing something, they're going to find a way to do it. You know? Hey, buddy. Hey, Draco got it. There it is. Cross hemisphere. That's the one. All right, C-Death. There you go. We'll talk about that. Rule number 1, Gerbo. But anyways, yeah. Like I said, I think I think it detracts from this potential study for the generalizability, and I think the potential impact of this, that they're using a metric on this that was designed by one of the people that's also the author of the study. Yeah, I don't know. And this thing, I went and looked up what this is. This contains, or it says it's a test that contains 6 items. Okay, this is a test of 6 questions. Right? This isn't like a big long behavior battery or anything like this. This test has 6 questions on it. Okay. And has an alpha rating of 0.61, which says, you know, how valid the test is. It's not super high, right? But this thing has 6 questions on it. Okay. That basically looks at sadism, or looks for the presence of sadism in people. 7 items that look for vicarious sadism. Okay. And you get to rate those things on a 7-point scale. Okay, so it's got a total of 13 questions, right? And they took this So they had them complete those 2 scales. So let's go look at what this is. Let's go look at this actual well, I looked it up earlier. I looked at the basically when you see a test of some sort like this on here, that isn't like a well-known thing, like the Big 5 personality inventory or the Big 5 inventory. That is a well-known test. That's a well-known personality inventory. Okay, but things like this that aren't really as widespread, you want to go look up the test and see how they made that test. You know, basically this test is, like I said, 13 question test. Not very long, not very in depth, I would say. And they ran the test on less than 500 people. So normally, for those of you who don't know much about, you know, what's called norming a test, or basically getting a normative sample, or basically what that is, taking your test that you want to apply the results of later to a general population of people. You want to norm that test, or give that test to as many people as possible. Like the tests that I used to give as a speech therapist, used to diagnose students with language disorders, speech disorders, things like that, given to tens of thousands of kids across the country, right? This test that we're looking at, the VAST, given to 500 people. You know, so I don't know. I think it's easier to say that it's easier to say that the results of a test that's been given to thousands of people are more representative of that sample of people, versus something that's been given to 500 people. Remember, we talked about in the last study that the bigger sample size you have, the more likely you are to be able to attribute the results of that to the population in general. This test, the VAST, was given to, or was normed or standardized on a very small number of people. You know. So I don't know what that. I think that makes the test a little bit less strong. You know, not nearly as strong, in my opinion. So, don't know. C-Death, that's a good question. There could be more, or maybe they have more access to more people now, so we see them. They're more visible. Could be one. It could be both things. Don't know. All right. Let's see. So There's also the 27 item short dark triad scale, where they look at those dark tetrad things. Basically looked at assessing narcissism, Machiavellianism, and subclinical psychopathology. Or psychopathy, rather, because, there's also clinical psychopathy where a person is actually a psychopath and, lacking empathy, very manipulative, all that good stuff. So they also gave people that test, and then they let them take the 44 item big 5 inventory, which assesses 5 different personality traits of extroversion, agreeableness, conscientiousness, neuroticism, and openness to experience. Okay. And since it also it assesses the presence of these 5 things, it really looks at 10 things because it also looks at the absence of those 5 things, which kind of says, or kind of gives you like a dichotomy there, in my opinion. But hey, it's possible distractions, yeah. But I'd say that I think it's less relevant. I think it makes it less relevant. So yeah, the people in this study took all these tests for 50 cents. Apparently they found what, 418 people willing to do that. So yeah, and they used the information from these tests to compare different personality traits. Okay. And they also had them. They also looked at their internet behavior, where they asked them, how many hours a day do you spend posting comments on websites like YouTube and stuff like that. What do you enjoy doing most on these comment sites? Let's see. They had 5 different response options, things like that. Basically, they looked at their, the presence of sadism or Machiavellianism, things like that. Looked at the big 5 personality traits as well, and also looked at their internet behavior, and they're going to draw correlations between those 2 things, or between all those things. Okay. What's a good number of subjects? I mean, there is no set thing, Gerbo. Well, I was taught when I was in school, you want at least 30 if you're trying to generalize to a sample, but more than that is obviously better. The higher number that you have, the more confidence you can have in saying that, yes, the results we see here can be applied to the general population that we're trying to talk about, right? So just the more the better, right? The more the better. I said it was a 1 impact journal, right? 1.9 distraction, yeah. It does show that there is still some impact, sure, yeah, but relatively less compared to other major journals. Yeah, Drake, I don't think there's a good rule of thumb anymore either. Yeah, more, at least 30 is what I was taught. That could be antiquated, but yeah, you definitely want more than that for sure. Like, don't stop at 30 and call it good. Like, get as many as you can, always, right? Like I was saying, the rules for gathering data is usually make sure your data is accurate and then get as much as possible, right? Scientists in general would rather have less very accurate data than more inaccurate data, but they would, if they had their choice, get a lot of very accurate data, right? If you can get both, cool, but if you need less, make sure it's accurate. Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff, Gerbo, yeah. Also, quest time for whoever's ready. No, really, see death? Kitty's being silly like that. Kitty wants attention, probably. The best number would be the entire population of the Earth. Exactly, Draco. Yeah. If you could do whatever you want to do on literally every person on the planet, boom, there you go. 100% confidence. You're good. Like this applies to everybody because we literally did it to everybody. But that's probably not going to happen, I do see you guys took out Siamese the Guinea, which means this little fat one. Yeah, you. He gets a treat. You guys get some kitty cam. Thank you guys for donating again to Fat Boy's Fat Belly Fund, dedicated to keeping him the fattest little researcher on Twitch. He appreciates it. I appreciate it. You all love it. It's a win-win-win. Look at Bowie. Recovers? Recover up. That time for Fat Boys to chill out for the night? It's up to you, buddy. Exactly, Draco. Yeah, it would be crazy. One good boy. One the best boy. I would argue. One the best boy. So anyways, yeah, they got all the information together. And then it started to make those correlations. Look at how things work together. Okay. All right, so yeah, commenting time. was associated with lower conscientious scores. Basically, the more time people spent commenting, the less time thought that they were putting into it and the feelings of others. Higher scores on all tetrad measures except narcissism. Or rather, commenting time is associated with higher scores on all dark tetrad measures except narcissism. So sadism and vicarious sadism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, all those things, somewhat associated, or pretty highly associated, rather. I don't know. If you look at these, they're using R values, right? You guys don't know what R values are. An R value is basically a measure of how associated something is with another thing, okay? Or basically how strong an association or a correlation is, okay? It goes from a -1 to a +1. So you're always going to see something between 1 and -1. You're probably never going to see a 1 or a -1 unless it's like some highly contrived example or something like that, right? But you're looking for things to be either closer to 1 or closer to -1. Closer to 0, you get like kind of the less of a correlation there is. And as you can see here, these values are like not very, these are pretty close to 0. You know, many of these are, especially narcissism. These are all pretty close to 0. So I would say there's not super strong associations here, in my opinion. They're not finding a very powerful effect, you know? They're finding a very valid effect. Okay. These p-values, for those of you guys who don't know, you're looking for it to be less than 0.05, which means there's a less than 5% chance that the results that you found are due to random effects or random chance, right? You're looking for that. So this says that there's a less than 0.1% chance that these are due to random chance. So they have very, very valid results for sure. Especially even this one here, this is not super valid at all. But again, the effects that they found are just not super strong, you know? So yeah, they did find that there was some association between these things, but not a very strong association, you know? So yeah, they also found commenting time was negatively associated with age. So the younger somebody is, the more time they're going to spend commenting, which probably brings about that stereotype of, you know, like internet trolls are usually dumb kids, you know, or usually young kids. I wonder why it's not taking. Oh, I think you just need to write Soma distractions. Somebody can do that. I guess somebody paying attention can do that. Boom, done. There. If you know the answer, just write it. Hey, peace out, Sunny Bits. We'll see you next time. Okay, take it easy. So again, and here there's not didn't seem to be very super strong correlations either, right? Men reported a lot greater number of hours posting comments than did women, which says, according to their logic here, that larger amounts of time posting stuff means higher trolly activity. Women would be less likely to be trolls, as we kind of seem to think anyways, right? All right, and then they said extroversion, agreeableness, neuroticism, and narcissism are all non-significant predictors of commenting frequency. So a lot of these areas of the big 5 personality and the narcissism didn't really seem to have anything to do with it, right? All right, favorite activity. About 23.8% of participants expressed a preference for debating issues. Cool. 21% preferred chatting. 2.1 said they wanted to make friends. 5.6% said they enjoyed trolling other users. 5.6 people is actively saying, I like screwing with other people. I like being an a-hole online. And 5.8 specified another activity altogether. Cool. Remaining 41.3% of people were they didn't say anything. Okay. So only half of the people here even said that they liked or even specify what they like to do online. So again, so they take this 418 participants and they can really attribute it to more like 250 maybe, something like that. not as many, you know. Yeah, indeed. See that, kids got my lawn, right? Exactly. Anyways, looked at the dark tetrad. They try to correlate those things as well. Again, it's not super strong values there either. But anyways, so yeah, we're gonna move on. Study 2, they said they did two studies in this one. There's study 1 and study 2. A limitation of study 1, they said, was that they asked participants to select their favorite activity from a list of options. So they kind of made a category for people. or rather ascribe them to a category. Okay. So they wanted to do something different. In study 2, they wanted to enjoy or assess enjoyment of each commenting activity, including trolling, on a separate scale. So instead of like saying which one do you prefer to do, they want to say how much do you like each of these things. So it's getting a little bit different kind of data then, right? And they also had them take another scale called the Global Assessment of Internet Trolling Scale, or the GATE. What is that? Well, I went and looked that up too. This is a scale that I really couldn't find much information on at all, except that it was made by some of these same authors. And it's got 4 questions on it. And that's about it. That's all the information I could find about it. It's a 4-question scale made by these same authors. So, yeah, again, what they're using here just doesn't seem to be a very powerful instrument, you know? I mean, one, once made by the same authors again, and 2, 4 questions. Like, how much information are you gonna get with 4 questions? You know, like I said, I've given standardized tests to like diagnose things. You know, they aim 4 questions on stuff. There's a lot of questions on subtests. You want to get a lot of information. So you understand there's not a lot of data, says Gerbo, but what? Here we have a figure showing a chart about the different correlations between different things here, right? So mean personality scores on the big 5, I would guess. And then, and then the different, mean personality scores on these different areas having to do with sadism. And then what they said they like to do online. So non-commenters tend to be pretty low on this stuff. Debating issues tend to have some activation there, or like a little bit of preference for those things. People that enjoy chatting, not so much, right? Not so much. A little bit on the vicarious sadism. Trolling, super high. But again, they're looking for those things too. Other, pretty low, actually. So, for the most part, trolling was, as they said, the most highly associated thing with these different types of personality traits. Gerba said, but this fishy. Why write an analysis like this at all? That's something we could talk about. Why do you think? You know, why do you think they're making this? You know, this all seems to be coming from the same sources, looking at the same, using the same concepts, the same measures, all made by the same people. Looking, you know, why? Why is that? I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. I know what I think about that, but like, why are they doing that? Why do you think? You know. All right, so they continue on through this study. Looking at unique contributions to the dark tetrad, more that whole thing that the authors really love to use. Again, 50 cents to take some stuff on the Mechanical Turk. Got 188 people from 188 Canadian psychology students, okay, or undergrads, college undergrads, okay, for course credit. That's a pretty common thing in studies. I think we talked about this before, where like some of the, especially in psychology, the largest population of people that are participants are often psychology students at different universities. They're just easy access. You know, there's just easy access to lots of psychology students, college-age psych students. Boom, there you go. They also got a hold of 609 people from the US on Amazon's Mechanical Turk. There it is. Okay, had them take these different personality things. Did the big 5 again. They did the 27 short dark triad scale. They did that. They also did the cast. Okay, they have them do the gate, but they also did the cast, which is again made by the same people, Buckles and Paulhouse. There they are again. And the cast is just a variant on the vast we looked at earlier. Just another short scale, not standardized on many people, you know. And they also used the gate as well, which is another 4 people. Yeah, mean response to these 4 items form the composite score labeled. The gate, right? They also use that too. Boom. Sita said, I don't know, it seems like it seems like this is all common sense. Maybe you have to put a number on something to make it real. Yeah, Sita. So you're touching on something that happens a lot, especially in psychology. Like, you know, like duh, like of course this makes sense. But yeah, sometimes like, you know, research needs to be done to really quantify things and say like if something actually is a thing, you know? What we often think or assume or stereotypes or whatever do often drive a lot of hypotheses in, especially psychological research. Like, you know, this phenomenon is there. People think this a lot. Let's actually do a study and show that that's the case or it's not the case, you know? So this is a case where, yes, C. Death, it seems like this is the case, and there's some research that also shows that as well, right? But I mean, is this the best study to show that? I don't know. Is this the best designed study? I don't know. What do you guys think about that? You know, distractions points out citation inflation. Maybe they wrote a paper because with the intent of having their name on all over a lot of paper a lot. I don't know. I'm not going to go that far. I don't know. You know, they did also say not many people research this stuff. So maybe they're some of the only people doing it. It could be that too. I don't know if they had malicious or self-aggrandizing intent, or if there just isn't a lot of people doing this kind of stuff. They could totally be the latter. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt on that one, you know? So anyways, they had people take these different measures again, okay? And then they have this table of scores, how the different personality scale traits or different personality traits correspond to these different things, okay? So yeah, again, not super strong. These are R values again, or strength of those correlations. Not super strong values, you know? Stronger than before, but not super strong values. Some of these are kind of getting up into the moderately strong range, right? Remember, again, it's between -1 and 1. You want it closer to either of those extremes. Closer to 0 means not very much strength. Again, in narcissism and trolling, not seeing much strength in that association, if any, right? It could be that too, Gerba. Yeah, you're touching on something. Maybe they're just trying to bring eyes to this research subject, and they don't have much to work with yet. That could totally be it too, you know? Isn't there a lot of pressure to publish? Yes, distractions there is. Yes. There could be some of that driving it too, you know? It could be a combination of, yes, we need to research and publish. There's not a lot of research done in this area. We're experts on this. It makes sense that we're going to push this idea and get our ideas out there and do studies based on this thing that we're experts in. We've done research and development on different scales for. However robust or not robust those scales are, you know, it kind of all makes sense that they're doing this. But does it lead to the best studies? In my opinion, I don't think so. You know, I don't think so. I think that this study leaves a lot to be designed. Anyways, they go through and they talk about the different results that they found. Of course, they found a high degree of trolly behavior going along with these different sadism and psychopathy things, especially sadism. Okay, like they were saying in the beginning, they found exactly what they were looking for. But again, these are experts in sadism using a tool that they designed to look for sadism in a population where there's already expected to be sadism. It kind of makes sense that they're going to find sadism being associated with trolling. You know, like what else would they have found? So then, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole results thing. Feel free to read that in your own time. And then, here's the general discussion. They talk about the results afterwards. Here's them, again, talking about stuff, research that they did earlier. There it is. And here's the last thing. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the one thing I do want to talk about is here. They say that they make a pretty big claim here, and I don't know if I can go along with it. So the associations between sadism and gate scores were so strong that it might be said that online trolls are prototypical everyday sadists. Again, outlined by one of the authors of the study. I don't think that the results of this study are so strong that you can make that kind of claim. I really don't. I don't. You know? So I don't agree with that. I don't think that you can say that kind of thing. No. I don't think that there's been enough research. The authors even say that there hasn't been much research done in this area. I don't think that you can, there hasn't been enough research done, and this isn't so robust a study that you can then say with confidence, in my opinion, that that statement is true, that can be generalized to the public. I don't think so. I don't think so, no. So that's this study. What do you guys think of it? Good study? Bad study? What could be better? What could have been worse? You know, what would you like to see? I already got some of your guys' ideas on that, but what do you think? You know, I know what I think about it, but I want to hear what you think too. Sita says it can't hurt to shine a light on the issue. I hate trolls. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's value in looking at this for sure. Yeah. But as far as like the methodology and like the study as a whole, what do you think about it? You know, what do you think about this study and looking at trolls? I mean, the subject matter for sure, definitely important. But what else? You know, what about this one in particular? Give you guys just a second to think about that. There you go. Gerba said, I feel like an ideal result outlines possible ways they might have gone wrong or something. Ah, yeah. This almost feels like a paper written for school. I see. So you're looking for more shortcomings of the study. Okay. Let's see if they added any. Yep, here's another one of those things. Both trolls and sadists feel sadistic glee at the distress of others. Sadists want to have fun and their internet is their playground. Maybe? Maybe, I don't know. So they found clear evidence that sadists tend to troll because they enjoy it. But again, the correlations were pretty weak, actually. They weren't very strong, you know? Let's see, do they say anywhere in here weakness? I'm just gonna search for weakness. Uh-oh. The word weakness isn't in here. Let's see, confound. Uh-oh, the word confound's not there. Let's see, shortcoming. Uh-oh, the word shortcoming's not in there. Future. Uh-oh, the word future isn't in there, so talking about future studies. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go now read the discussion section a little bit in depth and see, do they talk about any shortcomings of the study? One of the cardinal rules, I would say, of any study is always look for them to talk about what could have been better in the study, what shortcomings there were, what things weren't the best in the study, what things could have potentially confounded the results, what things would they have liked to have seen more experimental control with, right? I'm not seeing them talk about this at all in the study. Yeah, what are future directions? What do we want to look at in the future? Always things you want to see in a discussion section. And I don't see that. I see a summary to a 5-paragraph paper. You know? It is basically restate what happened in the results section, restating what happens, restating and putting their own spin on what happened in the results section, providing a glimpse into the mechanism by which sadism fosters trolling behavior, maybe. Study 2 also found positive relations among online commenting frequency, trolling enjoyment, troll behavior. Okay, sure. Causal direction. Good. Okay, they did say this. The causal direction of these associations is yet unclear. Good. They do say that. They do at least say that this is correlation and we can't say that what's causing this. Okay, cool. They said that. They give us some ideas. Antisocial persons use technology more because it facilitates their nefarious goals or motives. The findings of this study suggest that it is indeed the case. Okay, maybe. But more empirical work is needed. Okay, good. They do say something like that. Cool, so this is a saving grace here in my opinion. Some authors go further to argue that the use of internet technology actually shifts users in an anti-social direction. Somebody was asking about that earlier. Are there more trolls now, or is technology and access to that making people more trolly? Well, it seems like some people agree with the latter, you know? And they go on to some other stuff up. And make some other generalizations, right? So not much talking about shortcomings of the study other than this is only correlational, it's not causal. I would say, I don't think they addressed enough here. There's a lot more than that, in my opinion, you know? A lot more than that. Dream Sandy says, feels like a G.I. Joe study that was botched. I don't know, maybe. I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but... High Top says, I guess it's a problem when doing research on new things without a lot of other concrete research to reference leads, and a lot of it sounding like just the author's opinions. And it could be that, like I said, it could totally be, and they said this in the beginning, there isn't a lot of research on this yet. Maybe they're doing some very pioneering research on this. Could totally be. Could totally be. There's only 3 authors, who knows what kind of funds they had. Maybe they used what was most expedient and easy to use for them, so they use Mechanical Turk and all that stuff. I would say maybe, I don't know what the validity, how that could potentially confound the study, other than they can't really say what the makeup of their group is like, you know? I don't think they said that at all. No, they did. Well, here they did. No, they got female and male. They got ages as well. But I don't think they got much, we're able to get much else about that stuff, you know? You would ideally want like matched groups or something like that, or more information about, you know, like SES or age, and what they have age there, but race and, you know, all kinds of other potentially confounding things, but they don't have that information. They got makeup of male and female, and they got age. And a pretty large range of ages too, which is good. You do want that. So yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of experimental control here because it's all done through surveys online, you know. Let's see. Well, can we look at another pioneering article to contrast? Maybe it'll be a good example of how it's done. Ooh, I don't know if I have one right now. Jeez. We could look at some of these other ones up here. Some of the ones that they said that they cited when they said there weren't a lot of stuff. We can look at one of these. These were all done earlier. We could look at, let's say this one. No, Schaffer and Hera. Let's look at that one. Conducted interviews of Wikipedia trolls, finding themes of boredom, attention-seeking, revenge, pleasure, and desire to cause damage to a community among their expressed motivations for trolling. Cool. Let's see, other research. Hardaker, this one. Conducted a content analysis of Usenet posts that identified 4 primary characteristics of trolling: aggression, deception, disruption, and success. Okay. Let's check out this one in a second, but first, little Fatboy gets a treat. Y'all get some kitty cam. Thank you guys for donating again to Fatboy's Fat Belly Fund, dedicated to keeping him the fattest little kitty on Twitch. He appreciates it. I appreciate it. You all love it. It's a win-win-win. There's another big confound right there, distractions, where people answering truthfully. Usually with this kind of stuff, you just kind of assume that people were, you know? If you're asking good questions, you can assume that people are answering truthfully. Like, they don't really have a reason to lie. But that's a potential confound in anything where you are using surveys or whatnot. You have to just kind of assume that they're telling the truth. Yeah. So like I said, I don't feel like this is the strongest study. This is definitely one that needs more work. Or rather, this is an area that needs more research done in it. And perhaps these guys are pioneers in it. It could totally be that. See, we're going to look at this next study. Shachef and Hera. And Hera. That's the one. Okay, let's crack it open. Let's actually crack it open. 1 second. Just opening this real quick. No, I don't want to look at that. Come on. 1 second, just going to open up this article. He's giving it that sexy over the shoulder look. Sometimes he do. Sometimes he do. This is how he rolls sometimes. Okay, let's crack this open. And there it is. Okay. So here's that other article that they referenced in this last study. They referenced Shachef and Hera. Here it is. Same article. Beyond vandalism, Wikipedia trolls. Okay. Here it is. There's the next neuroscience question also. What does BDNF stand for? All right, let's check it out. This is a substantially longer article, so I can't say we're going to look at this in super depth. We're going to kind of just compare the style of it to the last study, right? This is much, much longer. I don't intend to go into this in a long or in depth at all. Quick comparison, though. See, Draco answers a lot of these questions, and he goes to look them up, too, if he doesn't know them. All right, again, this one also says research on trolls is scarce, right? Their activities challenge online communities. One of the main challenges of the Wikipedia community is to fight against vandalism and trolls. The study identifies Wikipedia trolls' behavior and motivations, compares and contrasts hackers with trolls, extends our knowledge about boredom, attention-seeking, and revenge motivate trolls. The study reports that boredom, attention-seeking, and revenge motivate trolls. And you type nootropic? Yeah, that's not it. Nope. Nope. Let's see. They regard Wikipedia as an entertainment venue. Trolls do, okay. find pleasure from causing damage to the community and other people. Gross. Findings also suggest that trolls, I just don't understand that behavior. Like, why would you do this? Why are you going to go around like ruining shit for other people? Like, come on. Findings also suggest that trolls' behaviors are characterized as repetitive, intentional, and harmful actions that are undertaken in isolation and under hidden virtual identities, involving violations of Wikipedia policies and consisting of destructive participation in the community. Okay, got it. It is good of him to not troll you, considering we just talked all about that, right? Exactly. All right, let's see. So it talks about what Wikipedia is. We kind of all know what that is, I'd say. Many acts of vandalism have been associated to trolls. Okay, they are already identifying a lot of different studies that talk about this kind of thing, or a lot of different sources. We know what Wikipedia is and what trolling is. We're not going to go through that. I'm just going to go right down to the methods here. And we'll look at what they did. Okay. Wikipedia project involves more than 260 languages. Yes, we know that. Enormous size of this. Okay, here we go. Data collection. Data collection involved email interviewed with 8 sysops. What the heck is that? It's a sysop or a sysop. Okay, so sysop. English Wikipedia had more than that many articles, that many users as sysop. What is a sysop? Used to be a sysop back in the 80s. What the heck is that? That's somebody that oversees, I would guess. Like a Wikipedia page or something. System operator. Got it. Sysop. Oh, it's not sysop. It's sysop. Got it. System operator. Thank you, James Hannity. Yep. Gotcha. Hey, you know it, C-Death. There it is. So I looked at sysop. System operators. Okay. Okay, got it. Email interviews with 8 system operators. Okay. That's one of the ways they got their data. Online ethnographic observation of Wikipedians and trolls on various Wikipedia pages. Talk pages of articles. User pages and the other communities' talk pages. And 3, interpretive content analysis of Wikipedia pages. So they're doing content analysis. Okay, that's a very qualitative way to do it. Less numbery, more, here's some general trends we see in the comments and things like that. User pages of trolls and sysops, Wikipedia policy pages about trolls and vandals, and community discussion pages about trolls and vandals. Their respective talk pages, archives, and history pages. Okay, so it looks like they're doing very little like actually talking to trolls, which the last study assumed that it did. This is more looking at other people, or looking at the activity of trolls on pages and talking with other people about trolls, and pages that talk about trolls and limiting that behavior too, you know? So, looked at 4 different cases of trolls. The interviewees named 11 trolls. Okay, not a very large sample here either, I'd say. You know, they talked to like 8 different people, looked at a few different pages, looking at 4 cases of trolling, interviewed or named 11 people. These identifications. Trolls number 1 through 11 had frequently identified a few times, not even that many. Let's see, triangulation of Wikipedia pages. I don't know what that is. Say possessed sysop privileges in the past. 2 of the people that were previous sysops came back and were trolling a little bit, but not much. So it seems like there's could be some vindictiveness to this as well. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of this, or a ton of analysis in this either, unfortunately. But again, there is a big section right here on limitations, as there should be, you know? Not even in the discussion, right? But before the discussion, in the data analysis, or right after the data analysis and in the data collection section, you know? Boom! Limitations right there. They're upfront about it. Due to the limited sample size, 4 troll cases, 8 interviewees, and the fact that data collection was based on the Hebrew Wikipedia, which could be there could be a cultural difference in the way that trolling is undertaken, okay, versus, you know, the English Wikipedia. Transferability of findings is limited. Hey, look what they came out and said. We didn't have a lot of data, and this was done in a different culture, a rather small culture compared as the world is concerned. So transferability, otherwise known as generalizability of findings, is limited. Good. They should say that. Unlike the last study that didn't really say that hey, you know, there were some limitations. Here's what they are. You know, interpret these things with caution because of these things. This study actually says it, you know? Already just because of this, I think that this is a better study. Because of that, you know? The fact that they see the limitations, they see shortcomings, and they own up to them and say, hey, buyer beware, look out, caveat emptor, look what's going on here. This may not be the best stuff. This may not be the best. There's a lot of limitations to this, It's possible the trolling behaviors will be culturally dependent, like I just said, like other user behaviors on Wikipedia. Another limitation is that the study used a restrictive definition of trolls. Many would argue for a wider definition that would consider any act of vandalism on Wikipedia as an act of trolling. So not only do they have a small sample size and there could be cultural differences, but they don't even have a solid definition of what trolling is in the study yet. Okay. In such an event, the range of behaviors and motivations may expand as well. Exactly. So that you're going to get basically you're going to get different data, different reactions, and all that, different ways of looking at it once you change some of those factors here. Finally, the interview data only reflects the sysops point of view. Exactly. It's likely that the trolls have different perspectives. Totally, right? So a lot of limitations in this study, but at least this study owns up to them, In the last study, there were a lot of limitations there as well, and in my opinion, some weak effects as well. But they didn't talk about that. But what they did do in the last study is actually talk to, survey actual people. They surveyed actual people. They used actual like assessment tools with them and stuff like that. They didn't just do interviews with them. They used like one established tool and some other tools that weren't really as established or strong in my opinion, but some established tools. So I'd say there's good and bad things about both of these studies, This one has limitations and owns up to them and knows that, which is great in my opinion. More studies need to do that. The last study had limitations as well, but didn't talk about them, and I don't like that, It sounds like overall this whole thing is just kind of this whole area of looking at this goes into talking about the different trolls and stuff like that. But this whole thing is just a brand new area, I guess, of research. So you're not going to find a lot of, I guess, rigor in this yet. And also, like, how do you interview trolls? Like, do people like self-professed trolls have to come in and like talk about what they've done? I mean, like that's kind of counterintuitive, wouldn't you think? Like, that's not really what people would do in that situation, in my opinion. Normally, like, part of the troll behavior is that it's anonymous, right? That's kind of what drives it, at least on the internet, is that they have some anonymity, right? So, I don't know. I think it's hard to find an amazingly designed study for this kind of stuff right now. Maybe there is one out there. The study we looked at initially was in like 2014, so maybe in the last 5 years there's been something, but I don't know. I don't think either of those has very strong results. What that says, though, is, none of that's useless. It's not bad. It's not something that shouldn't be looked at or just should be completely discounted. No, none of that. But there needs to be more research before you draw the kind of conclusions that the first paper we looked at drew, right? It was making some pretty strong claims that, like, oh, these are just sadists. And, like, they're like sadists are just trolling online to get their jollies, and like, okay, well, hold up. You don't have that strong of results to say that kind of stuff yet. So, yeah, I think tonight we set out to see some of the things that I wanted, which was, here's a large, well-designed study that you can really draw some conclusions from. And then here's a smaller, newer, and frankly, kind of biased, in my opinion, research study that maybe you should be a bit more cautious drawing conclusions from, You have to watch out for those kind of things if you're going to read more research. You have to know what to look for, Like I said, I think some people may not have really noticed that, like, the authors of that second study did a lot of the measures that they did in the second, that they used in the second study. Like, that's kind of a big red flag, And then if you go look at what those measures are, they aren't super robust. So, like, you have to watch out for that kind of stuff.